it's the tongue, yeah, burn. Show tune in right now. Like and share, our city needs that vow. Flint City News got truth to share. When we fight the darkness, we repair. Won't give up, we're standing tall and proud. Voices rising strong, no longer shrouded. Residents deserve what's right and fair. Together we can lift the despair. We fight, we win, we break the chains. Tanya Burns won't stand out in the rain. Our city dreams will make them true. With every step it all renews. Renew, step it all renews.
Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, producer Jay.
Good morning. How are you? Good morning.
You know, all this excitement I'm bringing you, and you are kind of minded. Good morning. Listen, good morning to everybody that is in here. Do me a favor, click like, share, and subscribe. I have got a very special guest on today. All of you have heard me talk about my attorney, Attorney Terry Johnson, the one that I say, the winning attorney. We win, I win with Attorney Terry Johnson. This is Attorney Terry Johnson, y'all. He came on this morning. So, Attorney Terry Johnson, would you like a few things to tell us about yourself before we get started?
Wow, thank you for the great introduction. Hopefully I can live up to all of that. But, it's a pleasure being here. I appreciate you and all of your listeners, subscribers, and, all the people of Flint, even the ones that, adamantly disagree with me. But I think for the most part, everybody wants to do what's right. And that's what we're here to do.
Well, I appreciate you being here. And I do mention you every week because there are some things that you have really helped me out with, helped out the council. And I think over the time that we've developed a friendship, I admire the people that you work with. Jim Mikowski, I just call Attorney Randy because I mess up his last name. And Tom Lambert.
Randy Pintuck, yes. Great
Okay,
name.
again, Attorney Randy. I mess it up every time. And so what I appreciate is that you are, I'm not asking for anything outside of what the law provides. And you always bring that back in. And I appreciate that. And you're a thorough attorney. You say what you can do, what you can't do, and what's the probability. And there's not too much more to ask for. So listen, y'all, I see y'all on here. I need everyone, please click like, share, and subscribe. Please click like, share, and subscribe because we're going to have some very good information. I don't do speculative information. Look, Tanya Burns is not an attorney. That is not my gift at all. And so that's why we have got Attorney Terry Johnson. Now, he's had several cases in Flint. I think, is it 5, Attorney Johnson?
Probably. I try not to count, but yeah, it's
Okay.
quite a few we've had up there. And unfortunately still growing. So, there's.
Hey now.
Well, unfortunately, there come some things that happen that are, people have a tendency to want to take the law in their own hands and want to interpret things that just don't exist. And that's how we end up in court, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think you're absolutely correct. That people interpretation of the law. So you handled my case when I was put out, And along the way, we knew that I would be put out. And I appreciate you professionally how you handle it, and then actually taking it to court. And when we took it to court, um, we won the case. Then the city said, okay, well, Judge Brian Pickell wrote a 22-page decision, and they decided they wanted to appeal it. You also had the case that you won with the metal detectors, and the metal detectors, which were in city by city council chambers. And there's the article. See, my producer be on it. Okay, we work hard to make you look good. So this is the article up here. Flint removes City Hall metal detectors, gun-free zone, signs after judge's order. So this was one of your cases. You won this. Can you please talk about this case? Because you are a good attorney.
Well, thank you for that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves in terms of winning. We haven't won yet. There's been an appeal, and the interesting thing is, your mayor there. Well, it's still going on. It's been appealed, and that's where we are sitting right now. But we believe we have very good standing here to bring home what should happen, which is the removal of the metal detectors. This is really a violation of the Open Meetings Act, and really people have the right to come to council and other city meetings that are open to the public and express their opinion. And what this does with the metal detectors, it truly violates the Open Meetings Act, because the Open Meetings Act says there should be no conditions, precedent that you should walk into, so like I shouldn't have to come in and fill out a card just to get into the meeting. I shouldn't have to only be able to wear like a red tie or something like that. And the metal detectors says everybody's got to go through these metal detectors. And the problem I think we had with this really comes down to the way it was implemented. I mean, the biggest issue here, and everybody's for protection, and no one wants some of the things that have happened before, but that doesn't mean that you get to take away someone's rights and you get to violate the law. As the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with what? With good intentions. And sometimes some of these intentions really aren't good. They're self-serving. And so this particular case is still being heard in the Court of Appeals. Just like your case, when we win, instead of just saying, okay, we need to go back, it seems like the city wishes to spend a tremendous amount of money on appellate work.
Right.
And for example, your case, and Tanya, I always get this wrong. Your district is what ward are you in? The 9th?
Ward. Don't put me over there.
I'm sorry.
I am in the 6th.
The 6th. I always get that one confused. But the problem is the 6th ward, basically had no representation. And if the folks of the 6th ward have a issue with you, then the folks of the 6th ward should be the ones that really come in and complain or do something about it. What's going on in your case in particular, you have a group of people that basically want to enforce rules, A, that either don't exist, B, that are unconstitutional, or that are very punitive. And what it does, it really takes the people of the 6th ward, and they have no say, whether it's for 15 days, 30 days, whatever. And I've never seen a process where an elected official who's on the same level can suspend another elected official. I mean, even if you look at the courts, you can't have a judge really suspend another judge. It's got to be someone that's above them. That's why, you have the Supreme Court who handles all of that, and they have certain agencies, but they always make sure, no matter what, that those cases are covered. And in your case, these people, the other folks on the council said, we're just going to do X, Y, and Z. And let me say, when things always come down to the same 5 people who are always constantly voting the same way, but it never affects them.
Hmm.
That's kind of interesting because it's what's the old saying? Rules for thee, but not for me. And
Exactly.
the citizens of Flint deserve much better. There's a lot of issues going on there between homelessness and violence and other issues. Um, you guys really don't have the time for the infighting and taking
Yeah.
away someone's voice, and for a whole ward. That's a lot of folks. So we've also had some other issues that have been cropping up. I believe we had some conversations about some other cases and other issues, but I guess the overall thing is, let's just do right, do what the law says, and let's not be petty. And that's what I see a lot of this really comes down to. I mean, other cities and townships and other elected boards have issues as well, but I've never seen anything quite like what happens in Flint.
You and I'm gonna back it up because there's so much with what the work that you do. So the one that you really say we would still be locked up in those little rooms where um it was a lot that was going on. And I didn't call you, and you called me on a Friday night about 8 o'clock, and you didn't say hello. You said, so
Well, you
when were you
remember
gonna
we're on the air. Be careful what you say. Be
you
careful.
I'll be careful. And you asked me, when were you going to call me about this? And I said, I was going to call you tomorrow because I don't know. It was settled. It was very unsettling for me as we were, we had to go to court. Um, we were summoned to go to Judge Elizabeth Kelly's court, and we had the Ethics and Accountability Board had summoned us to go. And when we got there, there was none of the people knew about the Open Meetings Act, and so I was explaining it to them because I had gotten from the Michigan Municipal League, but and then I had spoken to you. Then you were so helpful with Attorney Lambert and yourself saying, look, you can't circumvent the Open Meetings Act. We were literally the 8 of us were in 2 separate rooms. We were in rooms of people that we get along with. We vote along lines that I say for myself. When you speak about the 5, which is now 4, it's the ethical 4 and the unethical 4. And so when we speak about how we were separated, literally, I was with Jerry Winfrey Carter, and she's on here. And good morning, Councilwoman Jerry Winfrey Carter. I saw you in the scroll. Her and I were in there. I was doing crossword puzzles, catching up on stuff I needed to do, word searches, and it was just wasting time. And so we were not, for me, I felt the remedy should have been, I'd spoken to you, have an election sooner than May. And that was important because I get when we talk about giving them back that 5th vote. That 5th vote removed Eric Mays for 30 days, Councilman Mays for 30 days. It removed Councilman Mays for 90 days, and it removed me for 30 days. And there are other things that they did with that vote, like voting on their own nonprofits. So you gave me a case, the Wyoming, uh, Wyoming
Booth.
Booth Media versus Wyoming City Council. Look, I'm trying to get off the top of my head. That's the case. And that was a case where the Open Meetings Act, it was clear. I mean, it's like it was like the fit to the puzzle. The producer put it up. He put it. Thank you, producer Jay. You that guy today. It is Booth Newspaper versus Wyoming City Council, and so you were like, they're circumventing the Open Meetings Act, and you don't have to say. I'm going to say they gave us the public defender because he was just, you were like, no, this is what you guys have got to do. You have rights. You've got rights. And when we were talking with him, I felt we didn't have rights. He wasn't really listening. He hadn't contacted us really before we came there, and you pulled this case up and we sent it to him and to our special master that they assigned. And we kind of that was our get out of jail free card. So
let me correct the record. It really came from an excellent attorney on FOIA who's on the west side of the state by the name of Tom Lambert. Tom is talking to Tom, and Mr. Lambert said, "Hey, you're aware of this case?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." So the credit should really go to Mr. Lambert. I mean, an excellent attorney. He knows the Open Meetings Act forward and backward. He understands FOIA, and this is one of the cases he and I talked about. But the interesting thing in all of this is, not every attorney knows about the Open Meetings Act, and I'm not gonna talk about what the other attorneys did or didn't do, because again, every attorney has their area of specialties. So for example, if you're a doctor, you don't expect a foot surgeon to really understand how the heart works. They may have a general understanding, and I think that's what really went on here, is that a lot of people weren't thinking about the rights of the people, the citizens of Flint, in terms of anytime you as a council get together, for official business, and this was official business, because you were discussing the replacement of an individual. The people have a right to speak up, and that right was being taken. That right was being taken away from them, and nobody wanted to acknowledge that. So, but we're just glad we can help, and you used your get out of jail free card, so you may have to go back to free parking and roll again. I don't know.
Yeah, it really. I remember sitting in court, and when I got a chance to call you, and I called Tom. I think I may have called Tom first. I don't exactly remember the sequence to thank him, because when he explained it, and went over, and then it was sent. It was a time that you felt, okay, we really have, for me, no representation on that city council. I've talked about that for months. The city clerk should have a separate attorney from the attorney that the mayor uses, because it's just not working. A lot of this can be prevented if she had good legal and separate legal advice, and she does not. And we keep getting in these quandaries because no one's telling her. No one is saying, hey, you can't do this. The city attorney is appointed by the mayor. Part of the problem, because a lot of the issues are a lot of the issues begin with coming from that administration. And so getting that in the Open Meetings Act, that one, we cannot be any more than two in conversation is a violation of Open Meetings Act. You spoke to, we're not supposed to have to fill out anything. I don't know if you knew this. In order for people to speak at Flint City Council, you have to fill out a slip.
You can do that, and I want to make sure we're clear. I said you don't have to fill anything out to get into the meeting.
Okay.
But yes, as far as filling things out, yes, that's not that's not against the Open Meetings Act whatsoever. You can fill out my name is Terry Johnson, and this is where I live, or this is what I want to talk about. But it's not required. And that's the other part. Some councils say you must do this in order to speak, and that's truly not required under the Open Meetings Act. It's allowed, but it's not required.
And so that's where the issues that we have, because you've seen things happen before your eyes, literally. You're watching sometimes, and it's kind of like it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So with that Open Meetings Act, you are a wealth of resource. You truly are. So one of the things we talked about, I didn't know what silk stocking attorneys were, and I remember you telling me this. So and I was like, huh? And you were describing, we were talking about the attorneys that the city uses. So the attorneys that the city use most often, that the residents and the taxpayers are paying for, is the Clark Hill, Kendall Williams firm, Butzel and Long. So what is a silk stockings attorney?
Sure. Well, those are the attorneys that, those are the firms that have been around. And let me say, these firms are really good at what they do. For the most part, they really have been around a long time. These are, when you see like The Firm and other movies like that, these are those types of attorneys, right? And they have they come in and they're supposed to take things off of the city attorney's plate and provide some sort of expertise. And, it doesn't come free. Let's just say that.
No, it doesn't. And so one of the things that I have been trying to for a year, at least a year, is going through what we have spent on attorneys. So some of the things that we have spent, and we don't have it all, all of it up. So I'm going to go through a couple of them. Producer Jay did put up some of them in red writing. So Butzel and Long, I believe this is in March, the city paid them $45,906.18. They paid the Williams firm this same month $30,867. They
Did you say the same month?
Same month. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm not done. Clark Hill received 20,000. So look, let me get my look at. We got 45,000, 30,000, and 20,000. So that's what 95,000 in 1 month. 95,000 plus. I'm gonna round that off. Was spent in attorney fees just that month. I believe this was March's. That was just.
And that does not include what you pay. What does the city have, like 5 or 6 attorneys full time?
The city has a fully staffed, yes, indeed. They have a fully staffed city department with a chief legal attorney and then several, I think 6 attorneys. And
6 attorneys plus staff and everything else.
That is correct. And
Wow.
then they're using our Butzel and Long, Clark, are those considered to be silk stocking attorneys?
Well, firms, yes. And again, that's not meant in a negative by any
right.
stretch.
They're just pricey, well-to-do.
They're older and established.
Old, okay.
Been around for a while. Yes.
So in 1 month in March, they have spent 95,000. So then if I go into, and all of them, we were underneath a little attack. So all of our records, so we're missing anything after June. So in another month, they gave the next month, April, Williams firm received 19,154. So with Williams, that's 39,000 in 2 months. And then we gave Clark Hill another 29,000. So Clark Hill would have gotten 59,000. And so these are, and I haven't went through all of them.
And I don't know, listen, I don't know all of the things that Clark Hill does. I just know that we were fighting Clark Hill, I believe, on the metal detector case.
Okay.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is the case. That is the attorneys from Clark Hill.
Okay. Then in is it April? We paid Butzel Long another 46,000. So Butzel Hill would have got 76,000. So and these are just 3 months. And we have got expenditures probably around 300,000 just in attorney fees. And that's not including, the rest of the year. And so attorney fees are, because we have a lot of cases. We have the case with the Pulaski Street fire where the 2 children passed away. The mayor interfered in that. He fired the fire chief. The family suing for 50 million. The fire chief is suing for 10 million. I don't know which one of these firms is handling that. Right. But we're getting, in these cases. And then, like you stated, also in addition, we have got our own legal department, and that to me is it's a lot. It's a lot. And almost, and my thing, even, I had asked for a legal opinion and they sent it out to Clark Hill. I'm like, our attorneys can't do a basic legal opinion in regards to the city charter. If adding on what the city charter had stated that the role of the city council president actually, the role of city council is for 12 months. The second Tuesday of every November, we are to elect a new city council president and vice president. But they changed the council rules and said, then the council rules stated this last April, it was adopted. They added or until a successor is elected. So there are some issues. We have not elected a new city council president or vice president. The same five changed those rules. Same five vote on their own nonprofits that they originated and incorporated. It's on the state of the state of Michigan's LARA licensing and
Regulatory affairs.
regulatory, right. Thank you. And so it's on there. And so these same five, there have been for me some questionable activity. I don't believe you should be voting on your own nonprofit when you created it and you're still on the bank account withdrawing the money. That's a huge conflict of interest for me. So,
well, has anyone done an opinion on that? I mean, here's
no, you can't get them to do that.
Yeah, so here's the interesting thing, attorneys are not cheap, okay? I have never ever, seen anyone run out and hire an attorney that works on minimum wage. I've not seen it yet, okay? The issue I see is that, like a lot of cities, they don't really look at the cost of what it costs to bring an attorney in, whether it's Butzel Long, Clark Hill, or any of them, because again, those things cost money. I was an elected official on a school board, and we had a president that literally could not make a decision, and everything had to go, well, I need to call legal. I need to call legal. I need to call legal. And it's like, why? And all of a sudden our legal bills kept going up and up and up and up. And it's one thing, like you said, I don't know how many people on council have seen these numbers that you just put out, or better yet, how many people care. The issue truly comes down to, sometimes the fight isn't worth spending an extra $20,000. But again, if they're not spending their money and they're spending the city's money, some people just don't care. And I think that's a question that, the citizens of Flint really need to have to sit down and say, wait a minute, you spent $300,000 in a matter of like 3 months on legal what? And that it's not like you said, I understand, the lawsuits where, someone's suing you for 50 million or whatever, because again, that's a lot of money. But, when you're going back and forth over a metal detector, which has already been decided, well, we don't like this decision, so we're going to throw another, and I can tell you appellate work is much more expensive than your day-to-day city work. It's
so
just really amazing.
When the case so what level, let's go into the metal detector. So, because this was one of the things, I actually got stopped coming in. They were doing some work on my street. I could not get out of my driveway for probably like 3 weeks because we're still in service line replacement. So I had to hitch a ride to city council. So I went in the front door, I am licensed to carry. Period. I knew there had been, because I had been following your case, and with the case that you had, it was, the judge had sent in an order to remove the metal detectors. And then I believe I don't know if staff, it didn't apply to staff or councilmen. I can't remember what it was. But when I walked in the door, a guy, Nick, was ahead of me. Nick is like 6'5". And when I walked through the door, there were 2 police officers, and the police officer said, I need you to put your purse on the table and your bag on the table and go through the metal detector. I said, well, you need to know that I'm licensed to carry, and I do not have to allow you to go through my bag, because the judge had sent an injunctive order to stop that. And were you aware of that? And he said, no, we weren't aware of it. And by then it had been weeks in. And I said, no, you don't have the right to check me. I have a meeting. I'm going to my meeting. He says, well, you have to speak with the mayor. You have to speak with the mayor. The mayor, you need to go speak with him, because I can't let you go upstairs and get on the elevator. And literally followed me to the elevator and went to hold the door to stop. I said, no, you tell the little man in that office that I will be in my regularly scheduled meeting that's been on there for about a year, and I'm not going, he needs to explain to you why you don't have the right to stop me. I'll be upstairs if you need me. And then I contact you because I needed more information. So why were we still why were those metal detectors still up there? And should they have been up there? Was the law just being disobeyed?
So that's a good question. Why were they still up? Because the judge did order, and I know there were some issues, and I think it could have been a issue of communication between
Mm-hmm.
the city's attorneys and the people that eventually were told to stop. I'm not sure, but I'm just glad that it has stopped now.
Yeah.
And it's those kinds of behaviors that
Mm-hmm.
end up running up legal cost as well.
And those legal costs do get run. How many times have you been to court just on that case?
Oh wow. I don't know. Let's just say, and here's the other thing. How can I say this? People think that just going to court is the only time that attorneys are doing something. They don't understand, for example, you pick up the phone and call your attorney, you're being billed. And getting to court is just the end result, because you've got to do research. You've got to, go through various cases. Sometimes you have to file motions, and those things take time to draft and make sure that they are accurate. And going to court is kind of the last thing. It's kind of like, if you can't convince the other side that, hey, listen, let me show you where this is an issue, and sometimes you get an attorney who says, you know what, you're absolutely right. We don't need to go any further. Sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case in Flint, you get people who say, yeah, but they want me to keep fighting this. And that's where the funds have a tendency to rise and rise and rise.
When you're not spending your own money, it does rise and rise and rise, because when your pockets have a limit, or when it gets down to lint in your pockets, it tells you you're done.
Well, let me ask you this: as a council person in the city of Flint, and let's say this 300,000, let's say half of it. Okay, let's say half of it was a waste. What could your council do with $150,000?
One, we could do a lot, and here's the other part. There's so much work needs to be done in Flint. Our senior centers are facing some legal issues. They could have used a good attorney like you. Our health centers ran out of food in September. Our council is severely underpaid. The work that I do, which tends to go 24/7, with a lot of criticism, we get 25,000 a year. So I still have to, even though I'm working full time and plus overtime, I would like to just not do that with the work, because it gets, you get burnt out because of the issues. If I dropped everything and didn't say, hey, this is the right way, even with certain things that I'm passionate about, we need more training. We can use that for training. I don't know. We might need that for medication for some people. Some people that may be on training, but giving it to our health centers. Literally, they ran out of food. The cost of food, and Flint is a food desert. I went to leave last weekend, I believe, the grocery store, that's in my neighborhood, and it's not a fancy one. There's no Whole Foods, no organic food in there at all. Okay. And it's a save a lot. And so it's bare minimum where you're bagging your own stuff. And as soon as I went, and I paused for going there for like 2-3 hours, maybe 2 hours, it got robbed. And I mean, they're robbing the grocery stores. Our police are the most severely underpaid. They are the lowest paid in our county. And so we don't have enough officers. Their pay doesn't match. And we had an officer that went to a domestic violence call, and the attacker, who was the gentleman who, I don't call him a gentleman, the male attacked the officer, and the officer ended up being hospitalized with his nose broken and other contusions. So protecting those people that when we call, that we are protected. There's so much we could have did. We could have used that money for putting on roofs. We have blue tarps on, almost every ward has got some part of their ward that has a flapping blue tarp.
Right.
And there's go
Well,
ahead.
no, but I was going to say, imagine if you, and I don't know what your yearly bill would be for outside attorneys, but
Yes,
imagine if a lot of this fight, let's
we're
just,
over it.
yeah, but imagine if, just annualize this out, you could probably put 3 to 5 new police officers out there,
Hmm.
as opposed to spending it on legal fees. And sometimes the council should just get together and say, we're going to have to give in on this, because in order to fight this, it's going to cost, like, for example, your case. I'm not going to discuss what the dollar amount is, but I'll tell you, it's a lot of money. Whereas the question somebody really needs to look at is, if we persist to do these types of things, how much is this going to cost, and what is this going to take away from the residents of Flint? Number one,
Right.
they don't have representation for that amount of time, and number two, that's X amount of dollars that they have spent that, like you said, can go towards doing something in the community center, towards hiring a police officer, towards anything. But unfortunately, that mindset on with your council just isn't there yet.
No, and it's disappointing, because we had $94.7 million come into Flint. We have got three council members who have nonprofits, and their nonprofits received ARPA funds, and they voted to give themselves ARPA funds. And so one was in committee, the other one was in council, but it was going to committee. And so when I look at the behavior and the voting patterns, and it's of those five, And so that to me is a problem. Um, Flint is complex, and you and I have had many conversations about it, many. And people will say, well, why do you stay? What do you work so hard for? Because I do believe there is some goodness in Flint. I
Sure.
look I believe that Flint is going to change, and we're on the path with that with Ashley Capital. I believe that the $55 billion project at Mundy Township will filter out to Flint. So I do believe in Flint. We have some people who are, they're getting theirs off the top, off the top. And so that part gets you get people get discouraged. And every council meeting, you got council members being thrown out every meeting by the council president and vice president. No lack of no decorum that they have, but they will put you out for what they do. For what they will put you out for what you say, but what they do. I mean, I've been called all kind of names. Councilman Pfeiffer has, Councilwoman Jerry Carter has, and Councilman Jared has. And these are things that we endure, and then we deal with the public, which is insane. Which I want to ask a question to you. When we talk about, our public, whoo, some of them are who speak at that podium. They use that podium for everything but what it should be used for sometimes. We've had a gentleman, no, a male, come to the podium and want to talk about race, and talk about what color I am. And it's funny, he says, my fingernails were perfectly manicured. Everybody know I don't even have time to get my nails done. And when I go get them done, I don't usually have time to do a pedicure and manicure at the same time. And so, we have people who step to that podium and tell lies and make slanderous comments, comments that aren't true, even though we are elected officials. So if someone is making a slanderous or untrue comment, as an elected official, I know we have to hear it, but is there like recourse that we have?
That's a great question. I think one of the things, on the board I sat in, on the public school board I sat on in Oakland County, we would hear people come up and they would complain about many things. And let me just go back. People can use that time, and I don't know how much time, whether it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever time you guys have for that, but they could talk about anything. If they want to come up and talk about a McRib sandwich, which actually has been done, they have a right to talk about the McRib sandwich during that time. That's their time to speak. Now, when you get into attacking someone, what we used to do is if someone came and had an attack, an individual attack, let's say against you, what we would do is just give them the council person, opportunity just to respond to that. Our position was, listen, we're not going to respond to comments at all. We'll listen to what you have to say. We'll, get back with you in writing, but we're not going to get there. That is not the time to go back and forth with people. But if somebody gets up and they say, I saw Councilwoman Burns drunk driving the other night. She was going down the street at 80 miles an hour. And this isn't true. I'm just making this up. That's a direct accusation against you that maybe your counsel should allow you a moment or two to respond to that. And where you can come back and say, nope, I was home with my husband. I wasn't even in town. It wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. The issue really comes down to, and just what I've seen, it's just a free for all up there, and everybody wants to respond. And until there is some, as you call it, decorum, till there are some rules that, you're going to protect. Like, there were members of my board I did not like, surprise, but at the end of the day, we were a board. And if you come and you talk about someone that I don't like, I'm not going to be applauding or whatever and let you go on. The public still has rules and other things that they have to follow as well. So,
and that's true. And so, when you sit in that seat, I have never in my life seen something so nothing. I just drop my head, and generally I'm reading. I'm generally reading. We do face attacks from our other council members with vicious names, with sitting in the wrong seat, running up on us and wanting to fight. And I mean, it's stuff that's just crazy. And then we have public who will use that platform, who I don't even know what to call it, use that form or the podium to air lies at the podium, which is very slanderous. When you make lies and make a statement, if you don't want a public statement or public, why do you, make something public? Why do you go in a public forum and step to the podium? I would never go to a podium and state my public business, my private business in a public forum and put it on public record. I would never do that. And then it'd be wrong.
Well,
some of this foolishness.
No, I get it. But the bigger issue really to me comes down to your council should have some sort of policy where, listen, everybody can speak in terms of the public. But, if they come up and they talk about what a horrible council you are as a whole, and you guys don't do this and you don't do that, they have a right to do that. No different than if they want to come up and talk about what a great and wonderful job you folks are doing. But if they come up and there's a individual attack, maybe that person, if they're attacking a certain individual, maybe that person has a chance for a quick rebuttal. But we would, and again, I don't know your policy there, but we would never respond to anything that anyone said, because again, that's not the place or the time. And there have been, because your meetings have a tendency to go on, let's say
forever.
A little longer than, yes. Eternity is not long enough for your meetings, I don't think. But.
No, it's not unusual to be there till 1 o'clock in the morning. It's not. It's not. But our agendas have a lot that's going on. When we're literally going over 46, 55 items, and we are literally just getting them when we get there. I like to read. And I know that Jerry Winfrey Carter likes to read, and Dennis Pfeiffer, and Jonathan Jerry. We literally read when we get there. We don't come there with an opinion. We don't call each other up and say, hey, are you voting on resolution 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're gonna all vote yes on that one. We don't do that.
Right.
We come there and independently go through each and every resolution, and we don't always vote the same. What I feel, what I do know, what I've seen is we vote in the best interest of the public. What
Sure.
is going to help the entire city? Even though I may not agree with some of my council members personally, if it comes to it's going to benefit the city of Flint, I support it. And that's where I am. That's how I where I am and how I feel. Um, you have been so instrumental in really like a sound ear. Some of the stuff I come to you with, it's serious, but in the end, it's kind of like this shouldn't even be an issue. When it should not. You're like, well, how is this happening? And then you have to work backwards to kind of fix it. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I literally said at home, like, I need to call Terry about this. And I was like, I'm not going to do it today. I'm like, I'm respecting his wife and him and it's Friday night. Maybe he's got date night. He's not running to Wendy's to get the kids their food, you know. And you called me, and it was really a sigh of relief because I was like, I just you get tired of them. They have endless pockets, because they're using city attorneys and other outsourced, attorneys. And literally, we got the public defender, which
Well,
I go
you
ahead.
know, here's the thing. Have you ever just said, when these things come up, you agree to put a cap on what you're going to spend on legal fees? And I know
They
most
don't
attorneys
even
will be
bring
like,
them to
"Oh my
count.
God, don't say that." But you know, that might be something because again, if I lived in the city of Flint and I saw this waste of legal fees over certain things about putting somebody off counsel or metal detectors or things like that, those kinds of things get to be very costly. It's like a class action suit, right? Who makes
Right.
out in a class action suit? The attorneys. And who's making out in these, just looking at the numbers you read. And again, I'm not saying these firms haven't done the work, that they've been paid to do. I am
Hmm.
not saying that at all. I'm just saying that's a lot of money. And that means that, you instead of spending it on other things, you are spending it there.
Right. And one of the things people don't get to get to that point, we have got to have 5 votes. We don't have 5 votes. We're at a 4-4 split. So until we get a fifth vote, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And this third ward seat is a much contested seat. I do not believe the election. I believe that the state did not certify the race. Then we had an issue with precinct 10, but there was a remedy for precinct 10 because the remedy for precinct 10 would have been when I spoke to the county clerk, get ballots out to the people who didn't get them if the race was to be certified and to include them because there were so many failures on this. Precinct 10 was an issue. We had the council person that was recalled. He passed away. So there were many issues that happened during this third ward. Now there's an election set for May, and that's going to be, the May and August. And so we have a long time to go without a third ward. So one of the questions was because our process was tainted. I was told that we really need to be careful and consider. What really got to me when we sent the Wyoming Booth case was that we could be sued. Because we knew that we were in violation and take the fifth, don't say anything because you guys are circumventing the Open Meetings Act.
Yeah. The problem is everybody needs to be on the same page, and as I stated, the Open Meetings Act, not everybody knows it. And this is not a knock on any judicial official,
Right.
Judicial officials do not fully know every aspect of the law. That's why we
Mm-hmm.
have Court of Appeals and Supreme Courts to look at these types of things as well. So, but it all starts with folks attempting to get along.
Right.
And, like I said, if you and your neighbor are fighting over a little piece of land and you can give 50,000, you can keep 50,000 or you can spend 50,000 and you might not win. I think my neighbor and I would have to figure out a way to make some things happen, whether it's through mediation or something else. Lawyers get expensive, and especially if you have a side that basically says win at all cost. I don't care. We'll keep appealing and appealing, because that gets extremely expensive.
And that's where we're at in Flint. Everything, it seems like, at every level, this administration appeals all these cases. And as we see, those numbers keep racking up what these attorneys are receiving per month. Billable hours are real. I mean, and we see it in the form of each month, just what they're getting. And that was only 3 months.
Right.
And
And again,
we're missing 9 months.
right. And again, generally when you get, most firms, and I would expect this of, anybody's doing work for Flint, it's a discounted rate. So
Hmm.
that's not at, I'm assuming it's not at 400 or 500 a month or whatever it is, but let's just say it's at a going rate of, I'm just going to pick a number out. Let's say it's $300 an hour, and you rack up $30,000 in a month. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of hours. And again, I'm not saying the attorneys are doing anything wrong by any stretch. I'm just saying these issues take a while to work on. And then you also have your city attorneys who are sometimes chiming in and sometimes directing, but who are also being paid to handle your day-to-day things, like the things that go on in the 67th District Court and your other local municipal matters. So your legal fees are extremely high there, what I'm looking at there in Flint.
They're very high. They're very high. And they're going to continue to go high because none of these cases are resolved and done with. None of them. The Mitchell Boys 2 case, the Chief Barton, the Fire Chief Barton, that case, my case, the metal detector case. And then I believe you have the case where Arthur Woodson was detained, arrested for no reason, and that's still in court, I believe.
Well, no, we haven't filed, but
Okay.
you kind of let the cat out of the bag, but that'll be coming soon as well. For anyone from the city of Flint that's looking. But again, long story short on that one, Mr. Woodson went to the podium to speak, and Mr. Woodson was asked to leave, which he did. It's clear. And some new rule came about, and he stood outside of the meeting. Like, it's in the council chambers. He stood outside, and they arrested him for not leaving that area. He wasn't disorderly. He wasn't anything else. And it wasn't a typical arrest like I've seen with people who get put out, where you generally get a ticket. Mr. Woodson was detained approximately 15, 16 hours, that's ridiculous. And, it's actions like that just can't be tolerated. So, we will be very shortly filing a suit against the city of Flint. And, you just can't take away people's liberties and rights and put them behind bars for political purposes. And, but it's unfortunate, but we got to do what we got to do.
Well, and you absolutely do. I mean, I think that until it hits them personally, to where we are, these cases are being paid for monetarily, I don't see it stopping. A lot of people don't understand until it hits them, or there's a real dollar amount attached to it. They don't see it and they don't understand it. So
I don't think for some people it doesn't matter. And let me explain what I'm saying. If I don't know what you council folks make, but I'll just use a number. If I start taking away your compensation for your meetings out of what, as a percentage of a lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
it'll start to hit you in the pocket as well. You understand what I'm saying?
I
So
understand.
if you were to make 10,000 and I got this lawsuit and you guys couldn't fix it, well, you know what, Miss Burns, we're going to now take 2,500 out of that 10,000.
Mhm.
And there's another one. We're going to take a little bit more. I will take another 500 out of this one. All of a sudden, you would start to look at this and say, you know what? We need to start doing what's right, because it's now affecting you, and it's affecting, these suits affect the city of Flint and its residents, because not having the funding there to get some of these projects done, because you've got to pay for these other things, it eats up a budget.
And that budget has got to, I've been asking to get that for over a year, because we're looking at 2021, I believe, was when the children sadly died in that fire, to see how much we're spending. Haven't gotten it yet. So it has been difficult. We have a new city attorney. I don't know really what her openness is and how quick she will get them. Attorney Kim was a roadblock. Since this administration started, we have had, I think this is the fourth city attorney. We started off with Angela Wheeler, then we had Attorney Kim, then we had interim Attorney Cups, and then now we have Joanne Gurley. So we're going through attorneys. But that's like in every department. All of our departments, we've had um, multiple department heads of department since 2019, that there's a constant turnover.
No, I understand. And you have to put this in perspective. Who do the attorneys work for? Do they work for the council, which is a separate organization, or do they work for the mayor? And if the message between the mayor and the council isn't the same, that person, again, if that person reports to, let's say, the council, you're going to
Mhm.
have different decisions. If that person reports to the mayor, you're going to have different decisions. So that's something definitely to keep in mind.
Right, right. So I do want to share your information with everyone. Can you put it up? Um, I wanted people to know who you were, because I talk about you every week, and I will continue to talk about you. You are a good attorney, an excellent attorney, good
Thank you.
resources, and you know other good attorneys. You operate in a way, and it's funny because I remember some people saying before they went to court, we were in court, and they were like, "Okay, I got to take it back. Your attorney is a good attorney." You know, they were like, "Your attorney work on the weekend?" And I was like, "Who attorney work on the weekend?" And this is what I told the person: an attorney who wants to win on Monday will call on Sunday. So that was my response. So if you are looking for a great attorney and you specialize, I think criminal is your first um,
Correct.
criminal. And if you can contact, and I'm going to get into the criminal, but I wanted to put the name up first. Contact attorney Terry Johnson at 734-281-7100. If you're looking for good legal representation, again, contact attorney Terry Johnson at 734-281-7100. So what are the fields that you specialize in?
Well, quite criminal for the most part. Pretty much I've done anything from jaywalking to homicide on that end. Do a lot of Second Amendment firearms related issues. My firm also does, believe it or not, Tanya, and you know this, we do municipal work as well.
Yep.
So we know what's going on there. We represent several municipalities in and around the Metro Detroit area. So we do that also. And we also have a specialty in co-op. So that's another area where we do the firm, we do a great job there also. So give us
So
a
again,
call, and if we can meet your needs.
So here you got everyone. When people say, "I don't know a good attorney," I'm giving you a great attorney, an attorney who did almost the impossible, was winning, or even though some of these cases are being appealed in Genesee County, you, you were you were winning courts, the favorable decisions in Genesee County. which is hard. You're not speaking to it, I am. But I do see there's a change in guard as we are getting new judges. The benches, many of the benches are changing over. There's new, fresh faces with fresh ideas who are on there. And we are now seeing wins come out of Genesee County. And you've had some decisions that were favorable, although the city may be appealing those. You've had some wins. So the number we put up there, which is the 734, if you want to contact Attorney Terry Johnson at 734-281-7100. I'm going to give you, now, what would you like to close with, Attorney Johnson?
I'll just say this, for the citizens of Flint, and first of all, let me say this. I think, Councilwoman Burns really does a phenomenal job in representing Flint. She really does. She cares about the city. She cares about the people, and she's just not doing this for a power trip or to, collect a paycheck. She truly cares. And, I've been on the phone with her and I can literally hear her hair falling out. You can see, I can tell you what that sounds like. Just dealing with some of these things. And, we need more people on council and in government positions that truly care about what's going on. She mentioned earlier, why do people do what they do? It's because they have a love of their city, of their area that they're in, and they want to see what's best for it. Councilwoman Burns does a great job. And to help her and to help the other folks there, within not only, the 6th Ward, but also the rest of the city, folks have got to come together and start doing what's right and hold people accountable. And even when Ms. Burns doesn't do something right, you have to hold her accountable. It doesn't matter, I'll get a little religious here, but I won't pass a collection plate. But I'll say the following, right is right and wrong is wrong. And when someone does right, you have to applaud it and stand by them. And when someone does wrong, you have to hold them accountable. And until we hold the people accountable, and that's with votes, that's with everything else. We always say, boy, we got the worst congressperson or the worst state rep or whatever. Well, that's what you vote for. And until you stand up and vote and hold people accountable, they're going to continue to do what they want to do. So keep Tanya Burns in and get some people around her that can help move this city back to what it once was, because the direction it's going now is you see it. And if that's where you want it to go, then your vote and your participation, well, keep it where it is. But if you want it to be better than it ever has been, bring some people around together and let's get Flint back to the city we all know it can be. And by the way, I'm not running for office there. I don't live in Flint.
And it's not a paid endorsement, but look,
it's not a paid endorsement. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but good luck to you folks up there, and I'll be watching. And I've kind of got a little soft spot, here for Flint. I hope nobody, stabs me in the back looking for the soft spot there, up there in Flint. But we'll get through it.
They're not. They like you. I'm telling you, they like you. I shout you out every week because you literally. And if anybody thinks I don't think about quitting at times, because sometimes this stuff I can't even talk about, the layers. And then literally I did not call you at night. And when you call, I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. And I'm like, okay, you like, get something right. We got to go over this, and it was we would still be in that little room and violating Open Meetings Act and, it's still being there. And which we tainted that process for the 3rd Ward seat by us going back there when the public couldn't go back. We were back there deliberating, talking what to do, and the public was not allowed. We were making a decision to vote, and we weren't allowed to be back there. And so that process for the 3rd Ward has been tainted. I am going to call Attorney Lambert probably Monday morning. Also have another question for him. I mean, he knows this stuff off the top of his head.
Yeah, Tom's a phenomenal attorney. He's very good at what he does. He's he's really, really good. I have a lot of respect for him.
Well, I'm going to have him on. I thought to have both of you on was too much. He did agree that he would come on, and I am going to have him on because I appreciate, and I'm going to get a lot religious here that God did send you my way and also him because it was something that we were clearly and have been over our heads. And I believe in good government, good policy, and that we should come together. But like I said, hold me accountable. I'm not voting on my own nonprofit to get my own nonprofit money. So I'm not doing that. And so I appreciate you taking your Saturday morning to spend time with me and the 148 folks, I think, or however, are on here and on YouTube and Facebook.
You're
You know,
welcome. So,
to
someone just
spend.
put a question out. Can I answer that real
I
quick?
can't say, I want a little bitty one. You can answer any question. Look, do what you want to do. Like I
Well,
said,
no. It's just saying, is judge shopping legal here? Judge, it's called forum shopping, which basically means I'm going to go with the judge that I know is going to rule for me. It is not legal here. Generally, what happens is, and I'm assuming this goes the same way in Genesee County, it's kind of put in some kind of spinner wheel, whatever. They kind of push a button and it just gets randomly assigned. That's what generally happens when you have more than one circuit court judge. Some counties only have one judge and everything will have to go to that judge. So, but attorney shopping or forum shopping, as it's called, judge shopping is completely illegal.
well, I'm going to talk to you about that off record because we got one case with the senior center. Every judge in the 68th district turned it down. They sent it to Burton, literally. And this is another thing that this administration is doing. They're removing the vendor for the seniors. I haven't even had a chance to really talk in depth about that. But I know I've had a few questions for you. But and I think that's probably where that comes from. Now there was another question, says Attorney Johnson. If we contacted a grassroots effort to have you represent the residents of Flint, what would we need to do, and then how much?
Well,
So in other words, how do they get it directly to you? Because I'm not taking no money. So you have to be representing me for them saying she was taking. I'm not taking no money. So how would they get it directly to you?
Well, I guess, and that would be another question for another time, but what do you mean grassroots and what type of representation, that's kind of a broad question. I really don't have the answer right now, but I'm sorry. I don't know that I can just answer that in a general answer.
Okay. And so, and I guess I'll be able to formulate that. I know what she's talking. In other words, what she's saying is they want to start sending money to you. How do they get it to you directly?
Oh, you can send me any money you want. But if you're talking for legal representation, we'd have to. That's something different. I accept donations and anything else, but for legal representation, we'd have to have some kind of contract, some kind of trust account or something along those lines. But it would have to be for a legitimate purpose.
Right.
And that money would just literally sit in a bank account that I couldn't touch until I started doing work on that particular issue. So
one of the things that some of the grassroots people have been stating is that we get out lawyered, and I have said it, we get out lawyered, we get stomped, literally. Even down to when they split the council up with this third ward, they took the one council got Baird Wolf and the other four got Attorney Giltner, and we get stomped. And so I have said we are not winning cases. We are a lot of stuff happens because we don't have representation. The city clerk does not have an attorney that is separate from the attorney that that is used by his administration. And so people were saying, what do we do? How can we get a fund? And maybe that's something we can work on and figure that out, that it goes directly to you. Because I have said, you don't give me, I'm not taking your money. But I'm not, because they're like, oh, she's taking money, and I'm not doing, and
Well,
how to get it to you directly.
yeah, I get it. But the first thing would try, as I always like to say, try and get it resolved before you got to go to that step.
Right.
Sometimes is it worth it? It's the old thing like with the divorce. It wasn't that somebody left the cap off the toothpaste. It was everything else that led up to that. So how do you get to the point where, you know, it's not there? But that's something we could talk about at another time. But
Absolutely.
I do appreciate your time, and everybody. Thank you for the kind comments. And I do have to run. Got a couple family things I got to take care of this morning. So I appreciate you all, and let's all have a great 2025, and let's make it prosperous for everyone under the sound of your channel here, and especially for the citizens of Flint.
All right. I appreciate you, Attorney Johnson. Attorney Johnson's going to drop off, y'all, but we got other work to cover. So, Attorney Johnson, you can click off. We're going to be on. I got to cover some other stuff.
Good luck. Y'all have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Producer Jay, thank you for handling that segment of the show. We are going to go on to some of the other things that we are talking about. So if you are all on here, do me a favor, click like, share, and subscribe. Click like, share, and subscribe. I wanted people to hear, because I don't make decisions just haphazardly. I get legal representation so that I can speak to issues from a legal point of view. And so these are things that are important. I want to go on to Hasselbrink. Hasselbrink will be going to court next Thursday at 1:00 at 67th District Court in Burton off Center Road. And let me give a great big kudos to every resident, every person who showed up to support. The courtroom was packed. It was packed, and so was the lobby with another 30, 40 people. And so everyone that was there, it was, the support they needed. They needed. So there were some videos that came out where 810 Flint, and I'm going to give it up to them because they prepare a lot of stuff with being a content creator and doing a wonderful job. They actually do. It has been stated that City Council was the reason why the contract was not approved. That's not true. And who put it on the table? There were some negotiations. It's been said that the $500 that they don't want to pay. That's not true. They said they don't mind the $500. What they're saying is, if we can have that negotiated, fine. But also the $2,500 per month, $2,500 for each incident. So say if the furnace failed, the roof failed, all the different issues, everything in that building is original to it, built in 1986 or 87. And so if these things start to, fall apart or have issues, that they would only have one $2,500 thing for all the building issues that they would have, instead, if something were to happen, instead of for every single item. Also, them having to be micromanaged by having to have everyone that rented the facility to be approved by the mayor. That doesn't happen at Burston. It doesn't happen at Burston. It doesn't happen at Haskell Center. It doesn't happen at Haskell Center. It doesn't happen at Mott Park. And that all of these organizations and every other facility, they keep 100% of their profits and no micromanagement. They don't have to call the mayor's office to see if they can approve someone is being approved. They just don't. So in this one right here, and I'm gonna pull that one up because I can't read it from there. And I'm gonna pull it up so I can actually read it. So 810 Flint, like I said again, does a great job. I appreciate the work that they do, because a lot of their topics, when they're watching, they are right on it, and they get it done. So in this, it says, during tonight's meeting, that's going to be 2 days ago, Councilman, actually 3, it was on Wednesday. Leon L. Alamein did not tell the truth about what happened with Hasselbrink lease. The video doesn't lie. On November 25th, 2024, he was the one who made the motion to table the lease indefinitely stated. So currently, I would like to table this until we're able to reevaluate that and have some negotiations and so forth, and to try to come to a better understanding of what we're going to do with this lease. Yet tonight he tried, which would be on Wednesday, to shift the blame onto his colleagues, accusing them of pushing back on the lease. He conveniently ignored that he has also pushed back on it, stating he wanted to negotiate the lease to $1. I never heard him saying that ever. Also, he made the motion to table the lease on November 25th at the meeting. He clearly tabled the lease. He clearly said that Beverly wasn't going anywhere. He said that, y'all. He said it loud and clear. He clearly told a lie. The truth was in the video, no matter how much he tries to twist it. So, producer Jay, because look, we're going to need everybody to show up next Thursday, 1 o'clock. City Council has been subpoenaed because he didn't blame all his colleagues now. So, thank you, Councilman L. Alamein, for having us be subpoenaed. Now we have to get representation because you said we did this at this meeting. We were not the cause of this. Okay, we were not. So can we play the video, producer Jay?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Alamein.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for your question in regards to the Hasselbrink situation. That situation in regards when I spoke in support of Ms. Beverly continuing in that position, had an opportunity to move forward at that time with the lease. And unfortunately, several colleagues on council pushed back on it. And so it got tabled at that time, even though the president had signed off on it. Then there was several other conversations in regards to trying to move forward with the lease. And part of it, I was going to pay the whole first year of the lease, and it was pushed back on that. And some other things because of other council members intervening on the issue over there got that tabled and pushed back, so we couldn't move forward with it. And they didn't want to move forward with it as it currently stands. So as that lease stands and trying to bring something back up, that current lease is over with, and we're moving forward as it currently stands with new management and so forth. So it's no way to bring that lease back up because we're moving forward in a different direction. Thank you. So currently, as the lease agreement that has been negotiated and where it stands is the one in which Hasselbrink will be obligated to pay $500 a month for 5 years as part of the a lease agreement that was negotiated, signed off by the president and so forth a couple months back. But I did have some conversation with the executive director and the board of directors at Hasselbrink over a week or so ago, and they had stated that as the lease currently stands, this is something that they don't really want to support at this time, and that they would like $1 lease and a few other things amended into this lease. And so currently I would like to table this currently until we're able to reevaluate that and have some negotiation and so forth and try to come to a better understanding of where we're going to get to with this lease.
So if I hear you correctly, you would like to postpone indefinitely Resolution 240511.
Correct. And unfortunately, several colleagues on council pushed back on it. And so it got tabled at that time, even though the president had signed off on it. Then there was several other conversations in regards to trying to move forward with the lease. And part of it, I was going to pay the whole first year of the lease, and it was pushed back on that. And some other things because of other council members intervening on the issue over there got that tabled and pushed back, so we couldn't move forward with it.
So listen, y'all heard it for yourself. He did not tell the truth. Now you can say he misspoke. A1 Flint said he lied, and he did not. He stated Ms. Beverly wouldn't be there. Now he's putting it back on his colleagues. Well, we are subpoenaed to be there. I stand in support of the vendor that is currently there, which is ran by Beverly Lewis. Her 990s have been in order, not only with the state. She's in good standing with the state. She's in good standing with the county. She just received her funding for that in September. So you don't break what's working. You know, it's working for them. And so when we look at this, is the first ward councilman, he was elected. He told the people Miss Beverly and them weren't going anywhere. Not at one time have I seen him fight for the current vendor. There is zero fight in this for him. He is not fighting for them. He is said, hey, they on their way out. He is not fighting for this. He has not called up his council people or other friends, or even said, let me put a special order on to where we can talk about this for, one round of 5 minutes each. This is important to the community. I have stated so many issues with this. One, it's in his ward. It is a county. It is funded by the county. The city, they're on a month-to-month tenancy with the city. How can you take something? Councilman Mays, this was his thing with Hasselbrink. He worked so hard to get Hasselbrink to get the chains taken off of the doors, to get it reopened and from underneath emergency management, and then to give it back to the city to have it once again managed. It was taken from the city because the city could not manage it properly. There is no budget in place currently to even manage this. There's no budget at all. He hasn't had an amended budget. There's nothing in there that says we can afford to even pay for this. He hasn't come to council. When we talk about our city charter, there's the two branches. You have a strong mayor, and we have what we consider to be a balance of power. The council is the legislative branch. The mayor is the executive branch. The mayor is using the judicial branch to circumvent the legislative branch because he doesn't have 5 votes. He's not bringing any of this stuff to city council. He's circumvented by taking it to court, like he's also doing with the 3rd ward. And his eviction, we didn't approve it. You cannot, number one, just dispose of and do what he wants to do with city property. This isn't his personal rental property. It's not a simple landlord-tenant agreement. It's not. He doesn't own this property. He's moving in a way with complete and total disregard to the city council. It is the city council president's responsibility to say, hey, hold up. You can't do this. It's a council. You're overstepping your power. You're abusing your power and your position. And this is a overreach. Liddell hasn't done that. Candace hasn't done that. They have not done this. And it's not like her 990s aren't in order. Good standing. We have the fire chief's wife going to be appointed. That's nepotism to run it. They state that there's going to be 6 extra people. What budget is that coming out of? And then they're stating that there won't be any disruption. So Hasselbrink, let me give you this. Hasselbrink is the #1 center that feeds people in Genesee County. They feed more than 600 seniors per month, and it's set to rise. Services were to be reduced down to, it was proposed to 3 days from 5 days. So there would be a reduction. Hasselbrink gives more meals than anyone else in our county to our seniors. Access to food is an issue in our city. We have a food desert. We see, look, they just robbed the grocery store. You had to bag your own groceries. A full service supermarket or grocery store. Access to fresh foods. Our help centers ran out of money that give food out. They ran out of money in September, many of them. And so when we're saying we cutting this, off, for the seniors, it's the programming. Then they said, oh, well, no, they have got liquor and parties and they whoop, they having a good time. I said, look, if the seniors are whooping it up like that, look, y'all, we need to be at the senior center because they swear for Swanee that they is just whooping it up, just having a good time partying. And then it was a question about there's going to be a gift basket with liquor in it to be raffled off. Well, one, it was canceled, the event, which was from a rental. A person was renting it. Second of all, it's in a basket. It was a giveaway. with other items that was going to be given away. And that's not consumption and it's not intoxication. So, I mean, some of the things that the city is doing, which is playing games. So this is why they need people to support them. They need people to support them in their efforts. They need people to support them so that they can keep the vendor in place. Take that money where you're coming up with a whole director and 6 other individuals and have those in, put that funding that city council has not seen. Put that money into the center to provide more services and work with the current vendor. Work with the current vendor. You know, we need senior services. Our senior population is aging, they're living longer, but having food access should not be an issue. Some of the seniors, this is the only socialization that they get. The only socialization. The mayor claims, or is the deputy chief, that there's going to be money. That's, you know, another pot of money. We haven't seen it. Any money that comes in the city and out the city is supposed to be approved by the city council. Our president and vice president are derelict in their duty. Where is this money at? That's their place. That's their responsibility to ask. Where is this money at? Period. The seniors we have got to take care of, because if we're so lucky one day, we should be able to be a senior. And people should be, it's a responsibility to take care of those who have carried the torch. You know, dismantling this and it's working, it's ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. And so what I feel we need to do is rally around and support Hasselbring. You can go to their page, you can contact Beverly Lewis. Her information is on there, and they need the help. They're asking for your support. I'm asking for you to support them. I truly am. Because we don't interrupt the funding. We should be supporting the funding. They have been accused of things that just simply isn't happening. So next Thursday, 1:00 p.m., we all have to be there because the council person in the first ward did not tell the truth. And so we have been subpoenaed. Now, I don't know which public defender they're going to give us, but they are now required, because we have been subpoenaed, to give us representation, because he made a bunch of false statements that we have to answer to. And y'all, I'm not getting on there and lying for nobody. Y'all know I'm not. Absolutely nobody. Nobody. The funding should have been left alone. And as it been stated, because he was upset because McDonald Rivet was in that, you know, she was running and she was over there talking, didn't have any literature. She went in the building to speak to people. It's a public building. She has a right to do that. She absolutely has a right to do that. And so, again, I am supporting them next Thursday, 67 District Court off of Center Road, 1:00 p.m., asking that residents show up. Show up like the people in Dalton, Illinois. Show up like people in Thornton Township, Illinois showed up. If you want to change the dynamics and the climate and the culture, you got to show up like Thornton did. They voted in somebody new. So it lessens the power. You know, we got to start showing up. You know, and I know it gets tiresome. Trust me, I know I'm in it with y'all. And I'm asking y'all to join in it with me, with others, to change our community, to stand strong, because that's what we have to do. So next Thursday, 1:00 p.m. At the court. So I do want to go into, I want to go into the central school. So so like I told you, things are going to change. We're not going to be gentrified. We're in the process of gentrification. We are. And so in order for gentrification to come through, we have to build up what's, you know, our schools. We have to have the things that support community. And so our Flint Public Library, which is gorgeous, go there, resourceful. Our cultural center, when people go there, they're like, oh God, Flint has this, because people only show the bad things about Flint. So right next to the library, they had built a sidewalk. The sidewalk was a future to Central. Well, Central, they voted at the school board this week unanimously to develop Central and Whittier. I went to Central and Whittier. So this is wonderful to see. They're going to, they gave some renderings. They voted that they're going to um, redevelop it. And I think this is wonderful. So some of the renderings that we had, can we put the article up, producer Jay, with Central? Let me go through to so I can pull it up. And so Central is a high school. So that's one of the renderings that it may look like once it's complete. Those are going to change. This is a project that I do support. Um, our high school now, I know there was basically a Southwestern, and we have like you have 2,900 students who live in Flint, go to Flint Public Schools. We have another 12,000 students who live in the city of Flint who go to schools outside of Flint. So again, 2,900 who live in Flint go to Flint Public Schools. We have another 12,000 who live in Flint who go to other schools other than Flint Public Schools. So they're trying to change this narrative, which they should have been on this a long time ago. But I am supporting this. One thing they want is new schools, new activity. They want schools with teachers who are qualified. And so this is going to be a huge campaign that they're going to be working on changing the school, changing dynamics. They started the Flint Classical Academy, which I think you get, it's like a lottery list to get in. And so there was, I believe there was, I sent you the article where it talks about it, producer Jay. And the article, yep, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the article talks about Flint's, the project. And so people have to pay attention. I have said, please keep that up, that if you don't get involved, you're going to get left behind. And that is a very true fact. Either get involved or get left behind. And there are so many things that are happening. They're improving the school system and they're putting millions into this school. So think about demolition. Those buildings are old. Asbestos, Lord knows in French class, I was sent to in French class the Boondocks, and it had an asbestos pipe wrapped around it. And I remember seeing the white paint over it, but you could see the yellow, the little fibers, because kids were sent to the Boondocks or students, and they would pull that off. So um, I look at that. That is very real. It says Flint schools take first step in redevelopment and Central Whittier campus. So it's going to be redeveloped. So one of the things, and it's a huge school. At its height, just the high school had 2,000 students. Big school. Our ROTC program was there. We had a radio station. Was it WF something? Was there. You could get all kinds of skills. We broadcast the radio station from there. So at its height, it was 2,000 students. Now, when I graduated, it was the end of my class. You had only 5 hours because you can get out and go work at General Motors. But then they started, you could take a 6th hour because the number of credits had changed. I took 6th hour as a service. I worked in the office, in the attendance office. I worked in the office in middle school, in the office, and I worked in the office in high school. And then, thank you. WFBE, thank you, Deacon Dumas radio station. That was located at Central. And they had one of the, they called it the field house, the Central Field House. They had a double gym. And that was the newest part or addition, had a Olympic sized swimming pool. Listen, and when you see, because we got a video of it, me and Mia Powell, I'm going to tell on you right now, we used to skip class. Because I think we had a 4th hour and we would skip 5th hour because we knew our 5th hour teacher and he had just allowed us to do the work. He allowed us just to do the work and make it up, and we would stay and swim. And so with some other people. And so Mrs. Hamilton was our gym teacher. So we would just kind of like skip in some 4th and 5th hour and love swimming. I mean, we were some good divers then too, and so that's what we did. And then I would do my 6th hour in the office with Mr. Bronson. I was in his office for attendance, and I was also oh God, he just passed away in Whittier. Oh, I can't think of his name because he just dressed so sharp. And you look at that school, you have many memories. But like I said, you look at Central. Central had over 2,000 students. And so, producer Jay, I want to show everyone what was like the overview of like the first few minutes of the video. Can you put up that video for me? Do you have that? Papa Wilbur, Jared, and myself are historian.
I'm just downloading it because it's about 30 minutes, but give me 1 second. It's
Okay.
about finished.
Okay, and I'm not gonna play it all. I want people to see like the overview. When you go into that school, you see that it's been vandalized. They've broken out windows. There's no heat. There were some things like books and desks thrown across, just destroyed it. The school is over 100 years old. But here we go. Producer JB, yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is John Cassidy, and today we are touring the Flint Central High School. Built in 1875, it's the city's oldest school. It closed in April of 2009 due to declining enrollment and maintenance costs. Today, the building lies crumbling in disrepair. Let's check it out. This is so cool. Look at all these old lockers. This is awesome. Imagine all the kids that went to school here. Look, here's an old classroom, guys. We'll take a peek in here. Imagine all the lessons that were taught in this room. Look at the old wood. This school had some beautiful woodworking. And I don't know if this is like the floor or if the ceiling collapsed here, but it's really sketch. And I'm joined by Manny Quacchio, guys. Make sure you go check out his channel.
Hey, and everybody, John, make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. Excellent content. Let's take a look at this.
Insane in here, guys. One of the coolest old abandoned buildings I've been to. And I know I say that a lot, but oh my God, look at this, guys. And guys, it's so quiet in this auditorium. All you hear is like the footsteps. And look how like people just threw stuff down there. It's It's really insane. Put a book there. Wow. All right. Let's keep going through this place. So right here, guys, Manny pointed out the film room is up here, so we're gonna try and check that out. Wow, it's so trashed up here, but it's cool. All right, we're back onto the main hallway of the second floor. And there's so many lockers here, which just tells you how many students there really was. Wow. College scholarships. Ooh, something just dripped on my head. And you could tell that this was actually a really beautiful school. Like marble walls, and I think this is a bathroom, guys, we're about to check out. Maybe not. No. It's a hallway. All right, we're going back this way. Look at this desk here, guys. That's really old. All right. Well, we're going to head down this way now. What a spooky school. There's a stairway to go up. We're going to check out upstairs here in a little bit. There looks like an old server room. Oh, here's another view into the stage area. This looks like it's behind the stage. Yeah, this is, guys. This is behind the stage. Look at the piano down there. We'll have to figure out a way to get down there. Wow, this place is literally like an apocalyptic zone. Look at these steps, guys.
So I wanted to show everyone through my eyes what Central is. I was graduated from Central, and I want everyone to see, because a lot of times we support projects and we don't know really what the project is. Huge campus. Again, at one time it is the oldest school in Flint when it was established, and at its height it had over 2,000 students. Our graduating class, I can't even remember, it was hundreds. We now we look at the little minuscule graduating classes now, totally different. So this will be coming up. They did pass it. They took the first step in passing it at the school board. So if you want to speak, you want to speak on this, you go to the Flint Board of Education. They have their meetings, I believe, on a Wednesday. I don't know what the schedule is, every other Wednesday, but go to their site. It's posted there. I contact one of the people on the school board, and they can tell you. They can give you information about it. So I did want to share that with you. Also, listen, we got trolls in there. If the troll is in there, ladies and gentlemen, mods, block them. Don't give them any energy. Listen, they coming on this platform on their Saturday afternoon watching us because they have nothing to do. Look, let them be fans, let them troll, block them, and then we don't even discuss them. I could care less about this conversation. We're talking about Flint Central School. And if their information and whatever it is that they do and they have an issue, let them have the issues. We don't care. I don't care. Please don't argue with them in the chat. Let's just keep it moving, because one thing about it, they're going to always be around to spew hate. Let's ignore them. Keep it moving. Don't give them the energy. Once they block, they coming on here to get energy. That's what they want. I'm not giving it to them. We started out talking with Attorney Terry Johnson. We talked about Central High School. We talked about Hasselbrink. There are very real issues to talk about, and they are not any of them. They are doing exactly what they want to do, divert the attention to themselves. I'm not giving them that. And I would ask that none of you please don't give them that. Once they're blocked, they're gone. Each time, mods that you see them, and thank you for the job that you do, mods. I appreciate you. Block them. Just block them. Let them get their own podcast and do what they want to do. Let them, share what they want to share on their own platform. What we're not doing here is acknowledging them because they are really non-factors. We're not giving any non-factor the energy that they need. Not doing it. We're going to keep it moving. They're not even worth arguing with. Not at all. If they had a place to do it, they would go do it. But where they're doing it at is a place where they know they're not welcome. Block them and keep it moving. That's like stepping over them. Block them and we stepping over them, and we're gonna keep for. We're not deviating from the path. Not doing it. Block them, step over them, and we're gonna keep it moving. And now y'all click like, share, subscribe. And if the haters, what we need the haters to do, look, we need y'all to do that too. Y'all can subscribe. You can subscribe. So B. Marie said in here, do I know? Let me go back. I think it was about Longfellow. She says, do you know when Longfellow project will start? Longfellow is in the 6th ward. It'll be similar to Coolidge Square, which is renovating, revitalizing another school. That one should become, they're in the process. These projects take a long time, and they are in the process of working on that. They're in the process of splitting up those lots. So it's shared with Summerfield and Longfellow shared this parking lot. Back then, they did a lot of things that you really can't do today, but it was a shared parking lot. So they're splitting up some parcels, and they're in the process of that. That will be developed. That is on the corner of Stevenson, Berkeley, and Chevrolet. Longfellow Middle School will be redeveloped, revitalized, and it'll be similar to Coolidge, which was done by Communities First. And Communities First, which will be handling that project. Shardy Shard say, I pray that the Flint Northern campus is safe. Shardy, that has had so many fires. I mean, it had fire. It wasn't just locked up, it had fires, literally. I don't know if that one is, and I believe it was the last I checked, because the number of fires, and they had accelerants to them. That I think that building is a wash now. I think it's set for demo. So just saying, I think that one is set for demo. And so Flint is changing. We are in the middle of gentrification. It is happening. Things are changing. And so the negative Nancy's and negative Nans, leave them behind. No, I'm not doing that. Not my purpose, and do not have time for them. And so when we look at the purpose, like we're looking at Whittier and Central, we're looking at Longfellow, we're looking at Coolidge. So we're looking at these schools that are being redeveloped, because one, you got to have a place. If we're talking about the population increasing, the children, bringing back families, they have to have a place to live, and they have to have a place to go to school. More housing and single family housing units have been developed inside of the 5th Ward over the past 20 years. University Park, Smith Village, Carriage Town, we've had additional homes there. And we've had more homes in these areas, which is the 5th Ward, where Councilwoman Winfrey Carter, which are going to, and they're continuing to grow. She's also at townhomes. And so there's a lot of things that are happening. Downtown is being redeveloped. There's been more economic development there with new apartments for students and multi-use housing. Also the YMCA that's down there. We have new buildings, new Black businesses down there. Potato Spuds is down there. And I want to give a shout out to Dink Sosa, who started out with Club 69. Then he went to Vibes, and then from Vibes to, he also has Roadhouse. And now he has a new business, Third Club, that will be opening up. I believe it's to be a sports bar. It'll be downtown. I'm looking forward to that. So shout out to you, Dink Sosa, for doing your thing. You are family. I have always supported you, and continue to support you because you grind. When you're on there up at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, I just have to kind of laugh. I remember when you was running your club, I was at work at my business. You was across the street to work at your business because you know how to grind. And so when you work it and it's about the people, and then you give back to this community. And that with that, I appreciate you for that. You do that and you are about this community. And that part I appreciate. You are for this community. So one thing about it, when you decide to grow your business, you're going to have those who are for you and those who may be against you. He has done a wonderful job in maintaining and being in this community. So shout out to Dink Sosa on his new, and his business will be downtown. You do not see very many, you do have some black business, but we don't have any black as well. We do have Sweetwater now, which is a restaurant, but he will have the first black, I guess, a club, sports club. So that will be down there. So good job, Dink Sosa, and grinding, you and your brother, Mateus. So congratulations to you. So I want to go on to those of y'all who voted for. Well, before we do that, I want to send another shout out to, can you put up the picture me and I went to a training. I was asked to come to a training to assist our Genesee County clerk, So I went to a training and it was really interesting and it was really good because a lot of times we do not see customer service. And that's the one thing that used to be, you would get customer service awards, that everything was about the customer service. People complain about the waitresses, people can complain about the cashiers, people complain about customer service, whether it's you're going to a municipal building or if you're going to a regular business. Customer service seems to be almost a thing of the past. So I was invited to go into assist and to help our county clerk, Dominique Clemens, with some customer training. And so with the customer training, I appreciate, having that and actually being a part of it. And so being a part of the customer training, it showed some great things. Okay, I will send it to you. I'll send it to you. Because I do, and I thought I had sent it. So I do want to give a shout out to him for having the forethought to, you know what, it's on another device and you may not have that. Let me see how I can go back. I think I would have had to have sent it to you. Anyways, he did some real scenarios. He did scenarios that had happened in his build or in his job in the different departments. So what he did was he recreated scenarios that were issues. And what he did was, how do we handle these issues? What could we have done different? And then he had trainers in there, and it was really nice to see that his focus was how to bring back customer service and how can we be better at what we're doing. And that part I truly appreciate, to see someone focus, because a lot of times people don't focus on customer service. And he was focused on customer service, and he gave very real life scenarios. So one of the scenarios that he gave me was scenario number 2. It says, I am in line for a CPL. I have filled out the paperwork wrong. I've been in line for 30 seconds, but it feels like 30 minutes. I don't like the way the staff is looking at me, and I feel like they are treating me like I am stupid. I've had a very bad day, and any inconvenience is going to set me off. I am convinced that the staff are talking about me behind my back. The cost of the CPL is $115, which is outrageous for this. I shouldn't have to pay this much. Oh, and now there's a service fee to use my credit card of $2.99. So the behavior he gave these clips, he wanted to be angry, yelling, refusal to calm down, and would not listen to reason. I will give it to him because he completely nailed this. And like I said, when we're talking about having customer service, he had it. And he's dealing with it to better his department. And so I'll post a picture up on my page. So I do want to say, that when we see these things, we need to highlight them. He is saying, if you come to any of my departments, I am actively working on changing the culture and creating great customer service. And it was great because it was informative. And I used to do some training back in the early 90s. And to see this come back and him to address it, it was great. He has several different scenarios. One was, I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't tell you my name. I'm going to tell you, John Doe, how to record on a deed, how to get, any department that he has. He covered it. And this was some great things. And so he asked people he did like skits. He did role play. And it was funny because one of the things when in mine, I had said, the $115, and they said, well, you got to pay, there's a $2.99 fee on it. I said, what, I'm going to pay in a bag with pennies. He was like, someone did do that, pay in pennies. I was like, oh, wow. And so when people are angry, if I got to pay you, I'm going to pay $115 in pennies. And so congratulations to him for saying, customer service is something we need to address, and doing the training. And then they did like a chili competition cook-off too. I don't know who won the chili competition, but they had that too. But it was a great like service day to give them some training, talk about things that need to be discussed to improve his department and improve his department's interaction with the public. And that to me was something that I love seeing, and how interactive they were. And when he gave me this difficult one, I was like, ooh. Listen, the two people that I did it with, it was the part 1 and part 2. I was like, I'm sorry, but this is what he told me he wanted me to do. Because one of the ladies, it was the one who it actually happened to her, the scenario. And so when we see people saying, I'm going to change the culture and the climate, he is actively working on customer service. Identify key things that they could do different. What did they do good? What did they do correct? But what could they do different? And then when does it rise to the level of you need a supervisor? You nailed this, Genesee County Clerk Dominique Clemens, you nailed it. Keep up the good work. This is what municipalities should be doing, every one of them, because this is so important, so important. So I am excited. I was excited that he asked me to be a part of that. And because like I said, customer service is almost a thing of the past. But let's go on to, y'all have seen President Trump. He is not playing. Like he said, Project 2025, where he was saying, oh, I don't know about that. Oh, I didn't write that. It's coming. Look, it's real now. But they said when the stuff is about to get real, it's real. It's real, real, real. And so we're looking at some of the things that President Trump has put in place. He's rolled back, the 1964 Civil Rights Bill. He's dismantling that. He put on the White House. He took away, was the Spanish speaking? He took that off. I think it says 404 page not found now. Latino voters supported him. ICE is coming and doing raids. There is a lot that is going on. The mayor of New Jersey, they spoke about them coming to a business and the raids that were there. The business normally had 85 folks. By the time the raids finished, they had 12 folks there. And so people were scared. People were leaving. They detained 3 people. And so when we look at some of the stuff that they are doing, he is not playing. The 1,500 people that he let out, the leader of the Proud Boys, he let out. But let us not forget on that January the 6th, who were our real heroes. Can you put that picture up? The Capitol Police. There were some who lost their lives fighting for our rights, fighting for justice, and fighting for democracy. And they lost their lives. Producer Jay, do you have that photo? You know, people were saying, oh, I'm going to vote for Trump. People didn't like Kamala Harris and Biden. You didn't like them, but look, your civil rights, DEI, gone. So let us not forget our true heroes, the 4 Capitol Police officers who lost their lives during the January 6th insurrection. Democracy and freedom comes at many costs. And unfortunately, these gentlemen lost their lives. So these are our true heroes. They truly are. And so when we look at Project 2025, can you put that up next, please? Project 2025 is no joke. During this campaign, he decided that it was something that you can put up almost in any his blueprint. So this article, Trump's early blueprint 2025, the blueprint he once dismissed. So I'm gonna scroll down and read some of that because people didn't, a lot of people didn't think it was, he's not gonna do that. You heard people saying, oh, Kamala slept her way, the vice president, to the top. The comments that she was accused of and doing, some of the same things that even if they weren't true, but if a man did it, he would be highlighted for doing it. And so when I look at some of these things, it's serious. And so people didn't want to believe, oh, this is, this stuff isn't going to happen. Well, it's happening. It's happening, and people are afraid now, and rightfully so, as they should. So the birthright, that's coming up. You got the one with Trump's early Project 2025. I don't even see that one. And that's why I was using 2 different things, because my internet was suspect. It was suspect. So his list of Project 2025, birthright. That's the issue. Can you put up the ACLU is running a campaign for the birthright. And they're saying, and they're asking for people, the American Civil Liberties Union, protect birthright citizenship. I think we really heard birthright when President, then he was number 45, had an issue with President Obama. And so the ACLU says Trump's attacks on birthright citizenship is unconstitutional and goes against a core American value. They stated, we're suing. Join us in action by telling Congress to fight back. Protect birthright citizenship. People really didn't, and I don't even know what some people were thinking. They just wanted to go against the other side, and a lot of this now they're going against themselves. So when you look at the DEI changing the civil rights bill, you voted against yourself, because not on any place, even with us having that, a lot of times there's no protection now. That he's dismantling. And he's saying, what his reason, what is it? He's going to give it what was the name of it that he's doing now, that he's not calling it birthright. He's called not birthright, I'm sorry. He is calling it not affirmative action. He's calling it I hate that. I'm trying to not send it on this other one. Yeah, you're gonna have to sort through them. Yeah. because I don't have them on this device at all that I sent to you. Um, so is he's changing the more I can't even read that. The producer Jay, can you read the title? Because the top part is not low enough for me to read it. Bless me. Ah,
Yeah, it's just talking about Donald Trump won more black voters than any Republican candidate.
he did. And in 50 years. And in 50 years, he actually increased more black people and more Latinos voted for Donald Trump than previously in the history and over 50 years. And there was a Republican Democrat party shift. Republican Party used to be the party that when we talk about abolition, the party of Abraham Lincoln was the Republican Party, but the party had a shift after Reconstruction, Jim Crow law. There was a party shift, and so Carl said the Reconstruction, the KKK. So when we look at all of these things, these are serious people. You know, people are, I'm voting for Trump. People are, I'm going to the rally. You know, and a lot of our, hey Shanetta, a lot of our rights that, you know, it didn't necessarily make the playing field either, but it gave you an opportunity. You still had to be qualified for affirmative action. You still had to be qualified. So the diversity, equity, and inclusion is gone. He done told people, everybody who working at home at the White House, you're coming back to work. Watch the news, people. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Watch the news. Watch the news, read the news. You have got to do it, because everything he said he wasn't going to do, he didn't do it. Do we have and I'm gonna tell you, for the LGBTQ plus community, huge problems for them. Huge problems. And what they acknowledge, what they're going to support, I mean, huge problem. You got the Hispanic Latino voters were the number one voters that increased in Latino men. Look, if y'all don't have your papers together, gotta go. You know, that wall, they mean that wall, they throwing you out, putting people out. You know, they said that the raids wouldn't happen like that. And now schools, they're going after the kids in the schools. So if you can put in one, that video, I don't know, with the did I forget that one? Did you pull it up? The one with the priest speaking, or the bishop speaking with Trump, President Trump, I will respect the office, and Vice President J.D. Vance, where they were speaking.
That.
Did you ever get that?
No, we can't play that. You just tell them about it. I'll try to find a workaround, but just go ahead.
Okay. So you will see in there when she speaks about having, you know, showing kindness for people, basically giving people grace. If y'all go watch the video when she's speaking, and they turned the camera to President Trump and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was so irritated. He was like, I mean, he was irritated, and his wife just had a very stoic look, like her face didn't, like she became a statue. LGBTQ plus community is they're going to have a problem. This community, with their rights, they have said it. Y'all better Project 2025. They weren't saying this just because, they saying it because they mean it. They are not playing with people. Diversity, equity, inclusion, gone. LGBTQ, the protection for them, that's gone. You've got they said that they wasn't going to do the raids with putting people out ICE. People are doing their job. They gotta go. You know, the protections are not there. And so when we look at all the things that he's doing, he's not playing with people. He said he was going to do it, and he's doing it. He's doing what the people voted, what his voters told him to do. He wasn't just extreme when he was telling y'all, oh no, I have nothing to do with that. No, he does. And y'all looking at who went in Snoop Dogg and Nelly up there performing for him. That goes all the way back to slavery. Who did they have performing for him? Buck dancing. It was the black people. It was the black folks. He ain't thinking about black folks. We look at President Lyndon B. Johnson when he signed it. Nothing was around him but Caucasian men saying we have to change this. We're not talking 2,000 years ago. We're talking when our parents were born. Our parents. In 1964, some of y'all. I mean, 4 years later after he signed it, I was born. So we're not talking like this 100 or 500 years ago. Can we play the LG? That one was from his Library of Congress. Can we play that video? Producer Jay.
I don't know what video you're talking about.
I sent you the video with LG, with Lyndon Baines Johnson. I sent him a video. I sent you a video of.
Hold on a second.
It's in black and white. We didn't even have color TV then. So when he's sitting there signing this and giving his reason, this is the 1964 Civil Rights Bill. Y'all, he done took a hacksaw to it. Y'all look way bye-bye to it. You know, and for these, a lot of Southern men who said, we got to change this. Why? The community stood together. Why? We had Black people, we had the Jewish community, we had white people saying, we can't do. We had pastors who stood together. That was when we talking about Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement. It was so strong. We had Ralph Bunche. We had them standing together for our rights. So where it was like, you have got to support this. Got to. And with the pressure on now, we're so fragmented, tearing each other down, pulling each other down, pulling each other down, pulling each other down, that we're not even standing together. And so when you look at, I always look at the room. They always say, read your room and know where you were at. These men, there wasn't no Black man up in there. This was white men signing this saying, we have got to change this, because everything that their ancestors, their former family members benefited from slavery. They benefited from it. Ain't nobody got that 40 acres and a mule yet, and you're not getting it. Trump dismantling everything. And so the first couple of minutes is static. So maybe like up to 2 minutes, can you put it for, and it's really microscopic, the timestamp. Can you scroll it down a little bit? Okay. Yep, he's talking. Let's roll.
But for personal liberty. Not only to eliminate foreign rule, but to establish the rule of justice in the affairs of men. That struggle was a turning point in our history. Today, in far corners of distant continents, the ideals of those American patriots still shape the struggles of men who hunger for freedom. This is a proud triumph. Yet those who founded our country knew that freedom would be secure only if each generation fought to renew and enlarge its meaning. From the Minutemen at Concord to the soldiers in Vietnam, each generation has been equal to that trust. Americans of every race and color have died in battle to protect our freedom. Americans of every race and color have worked to build a nation of widening opportunities. Now, our generation of Americans has been called on to continue the unending search for justice within our own borders. We believe that all men are created equal, yet many are denied equal treatment. We believe that all men have certain unalienable rights, yet many Americans do not enjoy those rights. We believe that all men are entitled to the blessings of liberty, yet millions are being deprived of those blessings, not because of their own failures, but because of the color of their skin. The reasons are deeply embedded in history and tradition and the nature of man. We can understand without rancor or hatred how this all happened, but it cannot continue. Our Constitution, the foundation of our republic, forbids it. The principles of our freedom forbid it. Morality forbids it. And the law I will sign tonight forbids it. That law is the product of months of the most careful debate and discussion. It was proposed more than 1 year ago by our late and beloved President, John F. Kennedy. It received the bipartisan support of more than 2/3 of the members of both the House and the Senate. An overwhelming majority of Republicans, as well as Democrats, voted for it. It has received the thoughtful support of tens of thousands of civic and religious leaders in all parts of this nation. And it is supported by the great majority of the American people. The purpose of this law is simple. It does not restrict the freedom of any American so long as he respects the rights of others. It does not give special treatment to any citizen. It does say the only limit to a man's hope for happiness and for the future of his children shall be his own ability. It does say that there are those who are equal before God shall now also be equal in the polling booths, in the classrooms, in the factories, and in hotels and restaurants and movie theaters and other places that provide service to the public. I am taking steps to implement the law under my constitutional obligation to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. First, I will send to the Senate my nomination of Leroy Collins to be Director of the Community Relations Service. Governor Collins will bring the experience of a long career of distinguished public service to the task of helping communities solve problems of human relations through reason and common sense. Second, I shall appoint an advisory committee of distinguished Americans to assist Governor Collins in his assignment. Third, I am sending Congress a request for supplemental appropriations to pay for necessary costs of implementing the law and asking for immediate action. Fourth, already today, in a meeting of my cabinet this afternoon, I directed the agencies of this government to fully discharge the new responsibilities imposed upon them by the law, and to do it without delay and to keep me personally informed of their progress. Fifth, I am asking appropriate officials to meet with representative groups to promote greater understanding of the law and to achieve a spirit of compliance. We must not approach the observance and enforcement of this law in a vengeful spirit. Its purpose is not to punish. Its purpose is not to divide, but to end divisions, divisions which have lasted all too long. Its purpose is national, not regional. Its purpose is to promote a more abiding commitment to freedom, a more constant pursuit of justice, and a deeper respect for human dignity. We will achieve these goals because most Americans are law-abiding citizens who want to do what is right. This is why the Civil Rights Act relies first on voluntary compliance then on the efforts of local communities and states to secure the rights of citizens. It provides for the national authority to step in only when others cannot or will not do the job. This Civil Rights Act is a challenge to all of us to go to work in our communities and our states, in our homes and in our hearts, to eliminate the last vestiges of injustice in our beloved country. So tonight I urge every public official, every religious leader, every business and professional man, every working man, every housewife, I urge every American to join in this effort to bring justice and hope to all our people and to bring peace to our land. My fellow citizens, we have come now to a time of testing. We must not fail. Let us close the springs of racial poison. Let us pray for wise and understanding hearts. Let us lay aside irrelevant differences and make our nation whole. Let us hasten that day when our unmeasured strength and our unbounded spirit will be free to do the great works ordained for this nation by the just and wise God, who is the Father of us all. Thank you and good night.
So when we look at that, Caucasian men, we have a problem then, we still have a problem now. And so what is to be put in place? If you can put up the White House, I sent that one to you, the White House, where they're saying they're getting rid of DEI. And I think it was on the blue or navy blue background, which has the White House at top of it, which takes you to the White House page. You know, we cannot afford to sit back and allow people to tell us what is the right way to do things when it is their own personal interest. You have to get involved. As much as people say, oh, the black church, back then, and the black church doesn't have the strength anymore. You know, the black church has got to come together along with the synagogues and all places of worship, because it was where we could connect with people to get good information. All of this is changing. And it's changing, and the swipe of that pen, it's changing quickly and immediately. You know, quickly and immediately. You know, he is keeping his campaign promises. And so how is DEI going to affect many Black Americans? Well, we are going to see. You know, we have some problems. So yeah, that's not the one that I wanted yet, because that one he is declassifying. There's another one where he's talking about the and I know I sent a lot. So where he's talking about where you know, look, y'all got to come back here. No more working from home, no matter how convenient it is. Gotta go. Y'all got to come back home, you know, or go back to work. I'm sorry. And when we're looking at what he's changing, if you are LGBTQ, you really gonna have some problems. Transgender, one of the big things is those bathrooms, the bathrooms issue. So if you transgender or LGBTQ, there's some serious issue. This party is really got some very strong political and religious views. And we're gonna see, we're already seeing it. So can you just start going through some of the articles? Because I don't have, I can't show what I do have on here. I know there was the one, like I said, with the White House talking about that. The NPR, can you put up the NPR, which shows the votes? NPR, which shows the votes, who were the lead voters, which, and you guys can go to this, and I will put the links to them inside of the chat. But these are very serious things, very serious. And when we look at who's representatives and who's not, we have got some problems. We do. We got some problems. And so, Producer Jay, are you on?
Yeah, I'm working on it. You can keep talking.
I don't know. Okay. Oh, okay. And so, like I said, there's a lot, but I want people to look, seek, information for yourself. Seek information from reliable, known, credible sources. Seek information from reliable, credible sources, because some of these sources, you can't trust everything. And I mean, you got to think about his first 4 years when he was number 45. You can imagine what number 47 is going to be, and he wants to be number 48. No, he has put in to had one of the someone to put in, they put in for him to be president to serve 2 terms. So they want to roll back our 2-term rule. So you gotta look at all these things. So when we look at ways to determine and then how people voted, we can scroll down through that. I can't. You got over that. We can scroll down in that article. We look at who were the voters. They gained in Black voters, and this is with, I believe, NPR. And make sure you use credible sources who do good journalism work. And make sure that that is what you're doing. And NPR did speak to this. So it's going to speak about the Latino voters, the Black voters, and so on. And Latino men gained. They in Georgia, they had very strong, they were leading. They had a very strong presence in Georgia. And we know that we have a very strong undocumented population in Georgia and in North Carolina, in Colorado, in cities where their economy is doing very well. And you'll see undocumented workers, and you'll see them like right outside of the Home Depots where they'll, get on the trucks and go work and do, work with the builders and the contractors. You see this in Florida. You'll see them, you'll see them at CVS. I was in North Carolina, and you would see them there. They would pick them up at the CVS. They'll pick them up at certain places where they know to work. They pick up undocumented workers and they take them to work. Now I know there has been a lot of people with their views. If you want to be in this country, get documented. We know that some of them it takes time. The process is slow. It needs to be fixed. But people have very strong views on this. Some people are saying, hey, they're not in here legal, get them out. It's using our tax dollars. We don't care. Let them throw them all out. Then there's others who say, well, let's find a pathway to citizenship. How can we get their pathway to citizenship a lot quicker? How can we streamline the process? So do you have any thoughts on this, Producer Jay?
My thoughts would be very controversial. So I don't think you want my thoughts on
Well,
this.
everyone does not have to agree with me, and that's the purpose of the platform. I have talked to them all. I have many Republican friends, conservative, and I think there's like a new conservative Christian or conservative Democrat, because they're not Republican, but they're conservative. But I get what people say. Everyone doesn't have to agree with me. That's not what my platform is for, because you may challenge me to see something a different way. And sometimes you have to agree to disagree. So what are your views on having undocumented workers here?
Well, it's not even undocumented workers. I don't think that the American citizens should foot the bill for illegal immigrants. I think that there is a way that needs to be reformed in order to get in this country. the right way, but I do not think that we as American citizens should foot the bill to take care of illegal immigrants. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
I'll,
And so
that was the nice version in the clean version.
that's the nice version. And so, and I like hearing, different opinions. And so, I don't know if people who are on here would have them chime in, but I think this is a good segue that we can go to opening up the call lines, because there's a lot of things that's happening with President Trump, and I think we need to talk. It needs to be a conversation about all of these things. People voted for him for a reason. What are some of the things that you voted for him for? Share that with me. How do you think changing the civil rights bill will affect you? What do you think about diversity, equity, and inclusion? This is a good time that we can open up the call lines, because I want to hear what people say. Everyone's not going to agree with me. I'm kind of like in between. I want to have, America is a melting pot. How do we streamline that? We didn't discover America. Black people came here on slave ships, not the Royal Caribbean cruise ship where you had a suite. People came here. We Native Americans were already here. So Christopher Columbus just discovered, and Native Americans were already here inhabiting and living on this land. So when we talk about how America has changed, and it's the melting pot where people could come here to build a better life. The Quakers, how does this affect you, or how does these new things? Because we're gonna have a whole lot to talk about. President Trump is busy. We're gonna be talking about him every week, a portion. How is it affecting you? What would you see change? I would like to see immigration, the road to citizenship, to be streamlined, so that people don't have to be here illegal. Because who's going to pick the vegetables, or work and on the farms? Who's going to do some of the work that we don't like to do, the construction work? The jobs that they are filling is because there is no one to fill them. So how do you feel about that? American has kind of went more for education, educated people, not the trades. And so they're doing more of the trades, the laborers work. So I've heard people say that getting rid of the DEI is the way of saying we're putting Black people back to the fields. I have heard so much. So I would like for you guys and ladies and women and people, or call in, share your thoughts, and keep this to 2 minutes, please. Please keep it to 2 minutes. I don't want to, and let's be respectful of the next caller, so that, the next caller can have, some time to say what they want to say, because I want to hear what people are thinking. I really, really do. Okay. So when we got a caller, and look, the number is up, 810-354-5843. 810-354-5843. And listen, y'all, because we got a little technical difficulty. So when you are on, just shoot right in, because I can't hear the connect. I got some technical difficulty on my end. So any callers that we got in the queue at all, Producer Jay?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. Okay, well, look, and we can keep talking. So I think when we talk about your views are conservative, not yours are conservative. Mine are, I don't know, I'm a little bit of conservative, a little bit of more liberal. I want to open it up, and I like that we celebrate each person's differences in culture, and that's what we're made of. When we look at, okay, what are some of the things that we benefit from different races and different cultures? Different food. When we look at different types of food that we may eat.
You ready for me?
Well, thank you, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey there, this is Tia, calling from here, there, and everywhere. Just want to say hello to everybody. My response to the illegal immigration, I can say for me personally, it has affected me, and in ways it has negatively impacted me. First, I would say, for example, for people who have driven box trucks, for example. Some of the box trucks don't require a CDL. So that means that if the immigrant, like not a regular immigrant, but an illegal immigrant, gets a not a CDL, but driver's license, because in some states they can do that, they will drive that truck for half of the price of what I would drive for. In some states, they started using illegal immigrants, like out in Texas, California, and other places. They started allowing them to use their Mexican CDL in order to drive trucks. So that cut rates in half. So that not only affected the rates, but it affected me like all the way around. Also, when people were talking about, okay, who's going to pick the crops and things like that, I feel as though we have inmates, right? They get 3 hours a day, okay? Inmates don't even take generic drugs. Our prisons are $1 billion industry. The same people hiring these illegal immigrants have stock in prison. I agree we need to reform the laws, but they need to wait in their country. We need to take care of the people that's here first. Because it's a darn shame to see a veteran out here homeless. To see our elders out here have to go to food pantries. Enough is enough. I look at teachers in the school system. They can't even teach our children that we've been paying taxes here for, because they have to, fill that gap. Because these kids come, they don't speak English, they speak nothing. But because they're here in our laws, we still have to educate them. And I feel like if you didn't pay into something, you shouldn't benefit from that. These inmates need hard labor. Use them.
So when you're talking about the inmates, geography is important. Are the inmates close to where the fields? Who's going to transport them? And so that would be, that's the issue. I think that's hold on to you. Let me finish, please.
Okay.
We got to look at close proximity. I think that is a good way to say that. But then we have a whole other issue. How do we get them to it? Our prisons close to where all of these farms or.
I want you to look up something in Tillery, North Carolina. There's a prison called Caledonia, right? All right. What? Leave me alone. It's sorry about that. Niggas on the damn house. But anyway. We have a farm, and it's a prison called Tillery, Caledonia, but it's in Tillery, right? The inmates have over 70 acres of land that they have to farm manually. And that's a closed custody facility, so that's like the next level up to maximum security. So they have to get out there, right? And all the vegetables that they have, that they have to tend to the crops, they have to harvest them, and all of that stuff. All that doesn't go to the different prisons in North Carolina. They take that particular, they take those crops and they actually sell them at the local farmers market right there in Chile. And you get them at a discounted rate.
Well, I tell you, we have went over the 2 minutes, so I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm gonna let someone else get on. Look, enjoy your Saturday. Stay in the chat. I appreciate you. So I will say this: when we look at, there's a whole issue. Should our inmates, be paid for this because they're doing work? If they're going to pay the people in the crops, doing the crops, you have a whole lot of issues, I think, with that. Keeping them, busy. A lot of the prisons do labor and they're charged. So Christine Leach said, Where'd it go? Her comment went away. So listen, y'all, call in, chime in, because I want to hear what people are saying. When I look at, when we talk to inmates, we have got farms are everywhere, depending on what crop it is. And so how do you get, well, you may have in your state, prisons, a prison isn't everywhere, or even like a jail or getting out. So how do you get them to do all of this work? And it's not just working on the farms and crops. It's other jobs that they're doing, building trades. They're working at entry level jobs. And so there's a lot of things that, I hear what she's saying. But listen, you can call in. The number's 810-354-5843. When we look at something, it's got to be curtailed to work. I get that she's saying they already work in the farms and they're selling the produce, but what about these which are businesses and they sell the strawberry farm? You got a farm that sells the soybean farm, whatever your crop is, tobacco farms. In the South, I know that being on a tobacco farm is like right across the street from my aunt's house on a dirt road, So listen, call in at 810-354-5843 if you want to talk about Donald Trump or anything that we have talked about. What are some of these changes that are coming up? How will these changes, the diversity, equity, inclusion, how are these things going to change your life? What do you think about him releasing the Dr. Martin Luther King, JFK? President Trump is releasing those files. He's declassifying those files. That part, I agree. I don't think they should have ever been classified. Look, who shot Dr. King? Who shot JFK? We know that, J. Edgar Hoover, who was over the FBI, had an extensive file on him. Everything he did was bugged, known about, and they even infiltrated Malcolm X. They did that. And so when we look at, they always get one of us to come after us. And so they got some more Black people to go out, Emmett Till. Not Medgar Evers, I'm sorry. And so we look at that, declassifying some of those, I think is good. They should have never been classified. What is it in there that we need to know about? They didn't put out that they thought that he had seen other women, Dr. King. And I want to know who shot him. Now let us see. Because their homes were bugged, their conversations, bugged, and then their homes were bombed. And so, for me, we got to learn from our past. This is where it's coming back to us at. Learn from your past, or you're going to repeat it. And with having the Civil Rights Bill, we're rolling it back to 1964. We are rolling it back. I want to know some of those things, but some of the civil rights stuff, look at Mark Zuckerberg's comment. Mark Zuckerberg made the comment that he wanted more masculine energy in the workplace. Well, Mark Zuckerberg, what does that come across? More masculine energy in the workplace coming from a Caucasian man. What does that mean? It's not enough that women, aren't able to carry out the same type of job, that women aren't capable of doing and producing the same results. What does that mean? And that, to me, when he said that, for me, that looked like he wants more white male men running these organizations. That's how I see it. That's what he wants. More white men running these organizations, that it begins at the top, to have this masculine energy in authority. That's the look that I guess they wanted to represent. We know that we have got more people of color in our country now. People of brown skin, whether it be Latino, African American, or Dominican, Haitian, whatever their race is. And so when we look at that, people need to pay attention. It is changing. It is changing. So listen, Producer Jay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, listen, Kawana, women need to be seen and not heard, no rights. Ooh, Kawana, that is what it looks like. So some of these are some good comments. And it does, you do feel like women, like it's throwing us back. The women's suffrage movement. It does feel like it's throwing us back when you want more masculine energy. We know that I believe almost 50% of households are ran by women and single moms. Our divorce rate is high. It's really high. And with the high divorce rate, you have parents taking, care of single moms. The new thing we talk about, blended families, is relatively new. Blended families, co-parenting, to make sure that even though the parents aren't married together, that the kids still get the amount of time that they need with their children. So co-parenting, to make sure that dads are involved as well as moms, to give equal time. And I believe in co-parenting. I believe in co-parenting, and I've done it. I believe in it. And so I think we have to, work towards that. The children should not pay for the fact that the two parents didn't like each other. They shouldn't. Alan Lynch's comment, can you put that up? And maybe my comments are behind, and I don't know why. Maybe I need to go out and come back in. Says, hello, Councilwoman. In my opinion, massive deportation doesn't make economic sense because America is a capitalist country. Yeah, along with these tariffs, who gonna pay the tariffs? That's the part that I don't think a lot of this was well thought out. We make a decision. It wasn't we. He made a decision and he's sticking with it. He was elected, and people are now going to see some of the repercussions of what he elected. America wasn't ready to have a Black woman at the helm. America wasn't ready for that, and they didn't vote for that. So many people, and even men, Black men too, I'm going to include some of them with some of the comments that I've seen. Some of the Black men, they wanted to talk. She's married to a white man. That became an issue. And caller, we got a caller on the line.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Councilwoman Burns.
Good morning. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hey, how are you doing?
Andre Jones, thank you, from Oklahoma City.
Well, thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Oh, this has been a week. Yeah. You know what? I was looking up ways to move overseas, at least for the next 4 years. But then, I think about my family who's here and the blood, sweat, and tears that my ancestors have tilled in this ground of America. And it's just, as far as Trump is a divider to the utmost. I mean, it's going to get funky up in here, as Mays would have said. And it would be them declassifying the Martin Luther King files. I don't believe a thing the FBI will release to be accurate. I think this is a way to try to tarnish the legacy of Dr. King. Bernice King, his daughter out of Atlanta, had their publicist issue a statement saying that, the family should have the right to review those files before they're made public. And so I had a friend from California, in California. This morning she was on live and said that 3 different Uber drivers canceled her ride. And she was like, is it because I'm Black? She went on live. And I think, and with the Proud Boys and all these different groups, I think about, I don't know if you've ever heard of Joe Madison.
Mm-hmm.
He had a radio show on Sirius XM, the Urban View. He passed, I think, last year. But he would always say, okay, now what are you going to do about it? And that was his whole thing. And I think about that. I said, you know, we can boycott all of these places and be selective about where we put our money. And so, you know, and even with that, somebody was saying we should boycott Walmart. But, you know, for a lot of communities, Walmart is the only place a lot of these people can get fresh fruits and vegetables. You know, even in my hometown, it would be a food desert if it weren't for, you know, places like Walmart. You know, so anyway, I don't want to spend too much time and talk away, but thanks for letting me call into your show, and we got to figure this out.
Thank you. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I appreciate you. So he made some good points. So when we talk about Walmart, you know, and we look at, you know, they're done with DI and Target, and there's other companies, and it's going to be more. You know, do we boycott them? If we boycott them, where do we go? You know, we don't grow really gardens. That was one of the things I had spoke about with Carol and Stephanie. They want to grow a community garden. Yeah, and I ain't did no garden in decades. And I'm gonna be honest with you, because it is a lot of work. I really had, when I really did a garden, I was in my 20s. It was with my grandfather. I had 2 little kids then, and it was and I lived in Saginaw, and my grandfather taught me how to can, how to take the vegetables, even like the tomatoes, to make my own sauces, you know, freeze them, put them on the pan, freeze them, put them in the bag, then you can puree them, you know, later. I mean, it's so many things that he taught me. This is my grandfather who also hunted, and I quit eating meat because he hunted, and it was always some type of meat surprise. You would eat the turkey, but he always had some that I wasn't gonna eat. I quit eating meat as a kid. After I didn't eat possum, I didn't eat raccoon, I didn't eat muskrat, I didn't eat deer, and I didn't eat rabbit, I didn't eat squirrel. And he would, you know, he hunted, you know, and I'm like, I became like a vegetarian. That's why y'all be saying she be making them beans. Yeah, because my grandfather was like, meat surprise. I'm like, nope, because deer meat, I liked Bambi. Nope. And so for me, I just, you know, it was, you know, we got characters in books that I like, you know, Betsy the cow, you know, everyone, you have to learn how to, you know, the farm animals in life. So we got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Christine, Miss Burns. Good morning to you, or
Christine,
whatever it is, you and producer Jay. I'm calling because I have a comment about the having the inmates work. Now, in most states, the inmates, what they do is they volunteer to work. And so I don't know what actually Tia was talking about. I don't know if she was talking about the immigrants or what she was talking about. But to have an inmate work, that would be a violation. To make them work, it would be a violation of their civil rights. And that's called involuntary servitude. And that's their 13th Amendment. And then my question is, would that be double jeopardy if so? And I'll drop the line.
Okay, look, thank you for sharing that. We do know, and it's a great movie, The 13th Amendment. If you had not watched, and I believe it's on Netflix, and it is really, I have watched it numerous times. And we know that the 13th Amendment is when they put people in prisons, and it was the pipeline to prison. People will get arrested for minor violations, end up on prison camps, and forced to do labor. That is the 13th Amendment, and she is absolutely right. There is a really, really good movie. I'm telling you, I watched that one, and it's called The 13th Amendment, and it is on Netflix. You need to watch that. It is good, and it created a pipeline to prison. We know that African American, Black men, and people of color, that we would go to prison for minor infractions that other people of white race would not go to prison for. And so that is absolutely a good one. This is why I like to call in. That is absolutely a good point. Thank you for that, Christine. And seriously, y'all, watch the 13th Amendment. Definitely watch it now, because those fields come springtime. Who gonna work them? Who gonna do these other jobs? And we know that those, when they would, getting people on these, you get a felony for child support, which means you can go to prison for that. Put them to work. I actually, returning citizens. Caller, what's your name? Where you got a caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Ms. Byrne, this is Patrick from Alabama.
Hey, Patrick.
I just want to talk about the whole thing about, the produce and things of that nature. As a truck driver, when it comes to picking produce and things of that nature, especially down in California, once a fruit comes off the vine, the shelf life on it deteriorates. And I feel like, we're going to say ban Walmart and all that good stuff. I don't think that's really a good thing. You have to look at how we get fruit from California to maybe Alabama or Michigan. Like, that really takes a long time. So when it comes to immigration, we actually kind of need them. To be honest with you, we need them, because I had a load just canceled on me for oranges, because the farmer couldn't find nobody to work because they were scared to come in. Even if they had papers or not, they were saying that they were scared to come in. So I lost out on almost $2,000 just because they didn't want to come in. So I just feel like at this point, they scratch my back, I scratch theirs. So technically, I need them. And that's all I had to say about it.
And so thank you for chiming in. Thank you, Patrick. So, with the trucking industry, and we're talking about when they're, you'll see them like in the fields, like you see them, chopping up cabbage, throwing them up, and they put them on conveyor belts, and how they work. Will it bring up will it raise the price of our groceries? Will it raise the price of our groceries? It has to. If they not be able to produce or have people to work, it will raise the price. Michigan, we have blueberries, strawberries, soybeans, sugar beets, and we look at the crops, corn, and if we don't have people to help in that, and I ain't no farmer, y'all. I'm not. Look, I'm barely keeping together this little plant that I done bought at the little store. That's that look. What is it? The little plant is supposed to be good for the air, or whatever. I'm barely keeping that alive, y'all, because that thing be so dry. We say, when to water your plant by sticking your finger in it. Listen, don't be a dirt on my hand. I am not a good pet owner anymore because I am too busy to have a pet. I did finally have to put my pet down, and I was like, you know what? I'm not a good pet owner because I had to have people help me because I'm very busy. I had to get a pet babysitter to come in and take the dog out and make sure the dog, he was a rescue dog. So he had some issues, and I've talked to him. He had a bullet in him. I didn't shoot him. We got him, he had a bullet. And so his socialization skills were important. And so when I put him down, and people are like, you ready for another dog? Because I don't have the time for a pet. How do we, when we talk about taking care of stuff, getting back to our farms, do we use, and I'll tell you, watch the 13th Amendment. As a matter of fact, watch it, y'all, and then we're going to discuss it the next time I come on. Because I've watched it several times. It is a great, great, great documentary, and you'll learn so much. You will learn so much. So, we have a lot of things that's going to change. And one thing I want to do on my show, there's topics you want to talk about, but I want to educate people. I want people to educate me. I want to listen to different opinions because my opinion is not going to be the same. We got Gen X on here, Gen Z, baby boomers. I don't even know them, millennials. And so we are all going to have different things that are important to us because of age differences, cultural differences, genders, lifestyles, and so on. And I want to hear what people, the differences in us, and I want to celebrate it. Um, I think for the LGBTQ community, I'm really worried about that because certain liberties where a marriage was acknowledged, it used to be only between a man and a woman. Then it was who you love. Don't during the military, don't talk, don't tell, whatever it was. Don't tell if you were gay. I think that was under Bill Clinton. There are some things which are changing. JD Vance has some very strong views. I don't know if y'all remember him. He was like the preaching kid. He was on Oprah before, and he would just, like that evangelical, and yelling and screaming with the Bible and quoting. And I'm not telling you, look this stuff up. This is who your vice president is now. He preaches his interpretation of the Bible, which is going to be filtered into government. LGBTQ community is going to suffer and go through a lot. And so when we look at this, and everybody be trying to act like they don't know nobody and they're not in their family. Stop it. Stop it. These are people that this community is going to go through a lot. Even if the diversity, equity, and inclusion absolutely is going to affect Black people. When you got Mark Zuckerberg saying he wants to have more masculine energy. All right, we got another caller. What's your name? Where you're calling from? And thank you for joining.
No, it's just me, and I want to address a comment that was just in the chat. And
go ahead.
I think that comment was kind of ridiculous because if anyone knows the American history and from state to state, there was a comment that said majority of the Black men that's in prison are guilty. Well, we know.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. But we know that's not to be the case. We know that there has been Black men falsely accused of crimes, and we see all the time where they're in prison and they are released after 30, 40 years because they found out that the crime that they committed, or that they were alleged to have committed, that they did not commit. So, let's keep it real and let's keep it factual in the chat because that's nonsense.
So, I will say, watch that 13th Amendment and you will really learn a lot. I have sat in court and literally seen the same crime for someone that was white be able to go home on a tether and ask if their grandma or family member was there. And this is in Judge Farrah's court. And the same crime committed by same age as a Black person, and they were incarcerated and sent to prison. The difference, look, it's not the same. And even the judge sympathized and saying, well, you don't look like you should be in prison, in jail. And I'm like, so what? I'm literally watching this and saying, oh my God. And at that time, and I've shared this story, I had a technician who worked for me who had stolen some things, equipment, and was doing some stuff, and it was a considerable amount of money to where I filed charges. And after sitting there, I would have to come back from Chicago, wouldn't be much notice for court dates, Genesee County, and sitting in there with seeing the difference in the system. I had to pray so hard on this. And I remember driving back that morning from court from Chicago, and I had court in Flint at the courthouse. And I was like, Lord have mercy. Lord, it's something upon my heart. What should I do? I had been to court, I don't know how many times. I'm seeing these differences. I asked my attorney at the time, I said, look, I'm not going to go through this with him. He's got kids. He had just lost his mother. He made a bad decision. And in the parking lot, when I pulled up, he was in the parking lot. And I told him, I said, I'm not going, because he was going to go to prison. I said, I'm dropping everything. I said, but I need you to change your life. I need you to do A, B, C, D. And him and I are good friends now. He said to me, I don't know what I was thinking. He said, I've said to my mother, to my father, I got a good boss, and who I work for, and I don't know why I didn't. Tanya, I made a mistake. I felt at the time that whatever the lesson was learned, but I did not send him to prison. I don't know, or to jail or whatever. I didn't do it. And I dropped it. And the judge was like, and this was in Judge Ferris' court. I couldn't do it because I was literally sitting there watching the same. If you were black, you went to prison. If you were white, you were given some chances. There was a kid, and this one, he was like 21. He had sold drugs. You can't be within the school selling drugs within 1,000 feet. He was like 200 feet in 2 different counties selling drugs, And for me, it was I couldn't do it. It wasn't like 5,000. It was like almost $30,000 worth of stuff, and I ended up having to write it off. But I think that as a black woman and a mom of 2 young black men, I look at how people are going to make mistakes. You look at the crack epidemic. If you sold crack, you went to prison. If you went to cocaine, if you sold cocaine, or you were a cocaine user, you got help. You went to a facility to get help. Crack, you went to prison. And so that's when they taught, and even weed. But they protected the drug that the people who could afford, the rich and the affluent, were protected. The rich and affluent were protected. Crack was a breakdown and destroyed our communities, but the crack dealers went to prison, and the crack users. Cocaine got help. They went into drug treatment facilities. So it's not the same. It's not the same. So look at the Brian Banks story, JP. Now, inbox me that on Messenger, because I love a documentary. I love a documentary. I do. So I do want to say that as things are changing, look at that Netflix movie, The 13th Amendment. You're gonna learn so much. You're gonna be angry. You're gonna rage. You're gonna say, I mean, you gonna. I remember watching this one I don't even remember which one it was, where they showed, and I don't know if it was in this one or not, that they would have children fighting in boxing rings in the yard for entertainment. That little black kids during slavery, and then also when they started Reconstruction, where you still worked for from the plantations, these kids you had to fight each other. And this was the entertainment for these white people. The entertainment was watching black kids in a boxing rink, as they're drinking and having their cocktails, dressed, to the nines, watching 2 kids in a ring beat each other to a pulp was their entertainment. You look at where they put around when people were hung from trees, where people are smiling and taking pictures. Thank you. The 13th Amendment, Netflix. Y'all watch this and leave that up while I'm talking too. And when you see that they took pictures where black people were hung, and they would put them on postcards and send them. And so when we look at how we celebrate and what they do with black people, these are some serious issues. Black people were treated this way. Our system was a pipeline. Our judicial system was a pipeline to prison. Watch the 13th Amendment. Watch it. You're going to learn. And I hope that somebody can come back so we can discuss this. But when I literally watch, and I love a documentary, after I watch the documentary, some of them, they upset me. A majority of them do. Because the fight that these people have had to have. You can put it on YouTube, black documentaries. You're going to come up with a lot of stuff. You're going to come up with Reconstruction, Jim Crow laws, women's rights, Ida B. Wells. You're going to come up with the Pullmans, the porters on the trains, James Carter, the Peanut Man. You're going to come up with so much, but you got to seek the knowledge yourself, to educate yourself, and to embrace it. You have got to. You look at how they got rid of books that with slavery in Florida, Texas, that they were banning books. They erasing the history. Slavery happened. You can hear where one of them, guys, what was her name? She's Black. She was a writer, Neil Thurston. With her journey and her being a writer. You got to embrace know your history. And then when you know your history, you will be able to make better decisions. And so for me, I thirst for knowledge. Our history is mostly oral for people who are Black, people are of color, people who came to America involuntarily. And like I tell people, somebody in your family, your ancestors paid the price. We weren't coming over here on the Royal Caribbean. We weren't no all you can drink and eat buffet. They weren't turning down your sheets. Go to the African American Museum of History in Detroit. You will be able to see. Go to that. I'm telling you things that you need to see. Quit letting people make, things for you. Quit making it, when they got Snoop Dogg and Nelly, making it seem like what Trump doing is okay. No, that they are the equivalent. When Snoop Dogg said he was never going to do it. Zora Neale Hurston, thank you, B. Marie. Watch her documentary. She's a fantastic writer. What she covered in the South with what she covered with our history. Don't let people tell you about your history. Go learn for it and thirst for it yourself. PBS does really good documentaries. You got to do it. We want to go watch some garbage and some stuff that they put up on TV and ha-ha and buffoonery. Go watch what the truth is. Watch this 13th Amendment. And then go on to other things that we need to have. I just don't. And I want Snoop and Nelly to be held to some standard. It's I think it's Chrisette Michelle. I agree with you, and they weren't. He called. Snoop talked about the people who at the last time when Trump's thing so bad, and then what did he do? He back there DJing, doing it up, And that's the thing. But they've always looked for us in slavery to entertain them, to entertainment. When we look at, the Pullman porters, how did they seek them on luxury trains, Pullman? When they had the trains, what they did was take people who were from the South, who were on the plantations, who had been what we call the house Negroes. They want the house Negroes because they knew how to serve. They knew how to be polite. They knew how to wait on people. And they took people who were the house Negroes to make them the Pullmans because they were already trained from slavery. So know your history because it's so much. It's so much. So it's so much. Snow put up the 94 crime bill that locked up African American men. Absolutely. And they called them super predators. That's why I got a whole problem with Black men being called predators. They call them super predators. And when we talk about that, there was a whole war on that against the super predators, which were Black men in the crime bill. In the crime bill they called, and Hillary Clinton did this. And so I absolutely have problems with that because I know that coming out of when I came out in the 80s, it was a thing that you can go to the military, your family could afford to send you to college, or you sold drugs. And if you sold drugs, you had status in our Black communities. You had status because you had money, you had a nice car, you were doing well for yourself, and you were able to help out people, despite the fact it was killing our community. But we got to educate ourselves to change it. Maybe God allows things to happen for a reason. Maybe it's a reason that we have got to educate ourselves. We got to find things that we are more in like with than we are more in dislike with. That we have got to bond with our brothers and sisters of different races to bring together something that's brand new. So I'm just telling y'all, it has to be, we can no longer sit back and wait, and think that it's okay. They know how to make us follow them. They put up Snoop Dogg in front of us. They put up Nelly. They put up Kanye West. They put up all of the top stars that draw in Black people, and they fall for it. We fall for it. Tracy Jones said, "What was some?" And I don't have, all of the art of. Let me see, y'all. Oh, we got a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, Ms. Burns. This is Casanova Brown in the comments, calling from Dallas.
Well, hey, Casanova.
Hey. Okay, so
I love the group Casanova, but go ahead, tell us what's on your mind.
Okay, so I can't remember what guy it was, but I wanted to address something that he said. I think it was something where he was talking about, like, I would be shopping at Walmart or something like that. I just wanted to say, and I said it in the comments too, all I was trying to say in the comments was that fighting with your dollars, it does work. It does work. And if you can afford to do that, then do it. And the reason why I know that it works is because it's something that Harvey Milk and them were doing back in the 80s when they did his documentary of his life and stuff before he was when he had gotten assassinated. And the before it grew into the LGBTQ, it was just what they was calling the homosexuals. They were fighting nail and teeth with their dollars, with everything that they were doing. And that is how they were able to get the change that they wanted to see. And it can happen the same way to us, for us, if we can do it in the next 4 years. But like I said, if you can't afford to, I understand. And there's other ways for you to contribute if you can't afford to, stop shopping at Walmart, stop shopping at Target. There's other ways for you to still contribute. But you got to start somewhere. That's all I wanted to say.
And thank you for calling in, Casanova, and sharing your thoughts and your opinions. Because we all have to have, I hate going to Walmart. Y'all, I hate it. And I hated it when my kids got grown because I would just give my kids, they would take my credit card and they would go. And my 29-year-old son, that's when it was open 24 hours. He just loved Walmart. I think he liked some little clerk working there because he would go all the time. He was like, "Oh no, I'll go for your mom. Oh no, go for your mom." And he still does go for me. But for me, I want to say some of the petty infighting, it has got to stop. People, this is bigger than us now. And if we can boycott and go to get, fresher food, drive a little further, maybe pick up a neighbor and take them and pull together as a community. That we may have to go to 3-4 different stores, but let's carpool and plan today. Better plan and better organized. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
No, it's the same one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm the same one.
Oh, you're still on there. Casanova, what that? Casanova, look. Thank you. Yeah, click down your thing. And so I agree with you, but I think just like the boycott for the bus was done, we have to better organize. One of the things, and if people have to, Byron Rustin, which is I think another Netflix, and I don't want people to get turned up and say, "Oh, well, I don't support gay people," Stop some of that. Look at his message. I never knew he was behind the march.
It's just people.
Right. I didn't know he was behind the March of Washington. Watch Byron Rustin, the movie. It is so good. So when I'm watching the movie, y'all, I take notes and then I go back to Google, do some research. But watch that, how he had to bring together the NAACP, SNCC. He talks about the different individuals, the Black organizations that we had, and the Southern Christian leadership, and how he worked to bring still the largest protest, which was the March on Washington. He was behind it. And they didn't want to, they had a problem because he was a black gay man. We are benefiting, which is civil rights people, was from a black gay man coming together. It wasn't Dr. King's idea. It wasn't. He was supporting him. And Dr. King fell out. Watch the Byron Rustin movie and then look him up. We get so stuck on people life. And I keep telling you, stay out of people's lifestyles. Okay, that ain't your business. If you can't get groceries, you can't get a job, you can't get a home. When we looking at black people couldn't drive Cadillacs. Somebody white had to buy it and then sell it to you. You know, we couldn't live in certain communities. There was discrimination. There's discrimination in cemeteries. When I go down south every year, some cemeteries, yeah, they still segregated the black side and the white side. They're not gonna dig you up. But the discrimination was in every facet of our lives. So this is good. I appreciate you, Casanova, for calling in and sharing your thoughts. Look, enjoy the rest of your weekend and still stay in the comments. So listen, y'all, know your history. Know your history. Is this another call or is this Casanova still on, Producer Jay? I think he just finally dropped it.
No, you got another.
Oh, Carla, what's your name? Look, I'm loving this, y'all. Carla, what's your name? Where you calling from? Can't hear you. You got to speak up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I should be better now. Thank you. Okay, hey, I'm not gonna say I'm a historian, but I have a history page. I study history, huge following, and this may be a little uncomfortable of a conversation, but I hear you. You talk about the Pullman Porters, which I had those in my family. I am from South Carolina, where my family owns like a ton of land.
What's your name?
Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
What's your name for the callers? What?
Oh, sorry. Morfred calling out of Charleston, South Carolina.
It's beautiful in Charleston, which was a slave port. They got a lot of history. Yeah. So go ahead. You got the flow.
Okay. So I'm from this area. I won't be living here a little bit longer. But my thing is, we're Geechee. I'm Geechee Gullah, something that a lot of people know and some people don't know. And we have a ton of people out here with land. Black people were actually originally in agriculture and farming, and it's actually a lot more people who still are. However, the land is being taken, through legal loopholes and things like that, which is not a surprise. So I wanted to, I heard you say earlier in the show that America wasn't ready for a female president. And I think maybe some people, but not all. Because
I agree.
When I look at that, she comes from, a different background. Let's be realistic. Some people can say she's black, and that's fine. But what about people whose ancestors were here who did not choose to come here? And those type of people are called what I would call black freedmen. That is a technical name, or the name that my family has been going since I've been alive. They've been going for that, and that's actually a name, that we have. But my thing is, the Democrats, and I'm independent, and I hate the Republicans. I don't expect anything from them because they've never liked us. And if you want to quote history, then we need to look at all of it, because Malcolm X talked to us about our entertainers. So I'm not offended that Nelly and Snoop Dogg, they got a check. Now, did Snoop Dogg look like a hypocrite? Absolutely, because the internet is forever, so he's never gonna be able to live that down. But why are you worshiping for people who do? Why does it matter that they did what they did? Kamala had, and this is the God's honest truth, I was offended by her campaign. She had $1 billion. To me, she was bringing in people. You had Meg Thee Stallion shaking her behind, Sexy Red and all these people. Now, I'm not here to judge anybody, but Meg has a degree. So why couldn't she bring her up and say, hey, I have a degree, black women, X, Y, Z. You got Sexy Red. Now, do I approve of what Sexy Red does? Absolutely not. But she does fantastic hair, and I'm behind the scenes with stuff so I know a little bit. Why couldn't you bring her up for that? Why is it all the time, they're looking at us and they're jumping down our throats and jumping on black men? And I'm not even with that feminist stuff because I see what it has cost us. We don't look at that. We don't look at how we see ourselves as women. No, we are black first. And these white women, I'm going to just be honest, and this is an uncomfortable conversation, they were never our friends. They were never our friends when they had our men hung after slavery. They were never our friends when they turned around and they had, us enslaved and they inherited us. So let's not, downplay that. If we're going to look at history, look at all of it, because Malcolm X talked about all of it. Even Dr. King, I'm seeing people use his information, but they don't talk about how he said he was coming to Washington to get our check. They didn't talk about how he made it clear that he felt like white people used us in the civil rights movement, and that's exactly what they did. I thought my granddad was crazy when he used to tell us, and I sound bad saying that, but I used to think he was crazy when he said integration was one of the worst things we could have ever done to ourselves. And now look at us begging them to be accepted, or begging them for a job, or begging them to accept us. I don't recall people of color being in the field. I don't recall people of color being hanged. I don't recall people of color, them creating a law that people of color couldn't read or write. I recall it being black people. So I don't like this whole people of color, minorities, because let me tell you something. When they get something, it is for them. We always got to be people of color or minorities. There's nothing wrong with black people focusing on themselves. In the words of Dr. Claude Anderson, we have made everybody else rich but ourselves. We had some of the best communities. We had some of the best land that they stole. A lot of it we still have, but they're not addressing that now, how people lose in land. Biden, we can talk about the Democrats, but they were never our friends either. So I'm just saying, with the Republicans, I don't expect anything from them because they don't like us. They ain't never lied about it. But that liberal is who you better watch. And as black women, I'm not saying black men are perfect. They're not. They're not perfect at all. But when I see women saying, oh, we need more women, this, we need women, that, think about this. Black men, racism is a group-based thing. And again, I'm not saying they're not perfect because I'm a black woman. But at the end of the day, as a group, black men have never told us where we can eat, where we can sleep. They never made laws for that. So while we sitting up here talking about history, we probably really should know all of it because we did do much better without them. And I'm not here to offend anybody. And I shouldn't even have to say that. You know why? Because when everybody else looks out for their people, we're never offended. We accept everybody. We're not mad. Kamala lost because a good bit of this country did not want to keep taking care of those illegals. And people can say it's wrong all day. We shouldn't. Black people are struggling. When I go to cities all the time, the main people are homeless. I live in Charleston. This is $1 trillion tourism industry. They have plantations and everything. And when you go and you look under the bridge, it's mostly black people whose ancestors built this town. And not just this town, but this nation. And you mean to tell me you bring people here and you give them shelter, you give them food. Meanwhile, thank God my family can afford it, but we helping my grandma because she's getting one check a month. So black people, can we please focus on ourselves sometimes? It's not wrong. They do it. I don't recall. And then when I ask people, what does the Democrats do? Well, he gave money for HBCUs, or he made Medicare, or this and easy. Ma'am, I have 5 degrees, very educated. Not one came from an HBCU. And if we're going to look at HBCUs, those were created by white people anyway. So we can't pick and choose the outrage. And I'm not against my people. I'm just saying it's okay for us to focus on ourselves. When we were in segregation, it was terrible to be separated, but we made the best out of it. Some of the best business districts, black towns, and everything. And integration was not about, oh, we're going to accept them. It was about the money. Please look at the secrets of selling to the Negro. It's okay for us to focus on ourselves because everybody else doing it, and that's it.
All right, listen, I appreciate you calling, and you have called in before. I think when we first started. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your thoughts and thank you for your comments and sharing. I truly appreciate it. And look,
I
stay in the comments.
I
We you know,
appreciate you checking us out.
thank you. And look, stay in the comments because people are talking. So when we can talk, and this is where we say we may not agree 100% of the way, but we can agree with parts of it and take the parts that's applicable. Black people do need to focus on themselves, but we cannot. I mean, as a race, we are the most divided race. But how do we move in a bigger proportion? For me, in my opinion, because everyone's entitled to it, we cannot do this by ourselves. We can't. Not with everything that needs to be changed. Period. And but when we look at one of the things you'll hear a lot of people say, the Black pride, that we were better when we were segregated. I hear this from a lot of older people, our seniors, who say we have more pride in ourselves. We have more self-respect. You know, when my mother told me, and when I went to school, and some of the people who were living, you listen to it because you were told you had to wear your best shoes. Look, they were not wearing, people now say, well, it doesn't matter what you dress and what you look like. Well, first impressions matter. If you up in that store with your house shoes, your pajama pants, and your bonnet, and they are, they're like, oh, we just go out anyway. You didn't see Black people, if they were out, they were dressed. Their presence meant something. The communities were tighter knit because it was all we had. So when we desegregate and going back to Plessy versus Ferguson, Brown versus the Board of Education, and other cases which changed, separate but equal. We were separate, we were unequal. So there's a lot of things. And what I won't be able to do in my little bit of time is do all of our history, but we can come and bring a part of it and call in and share it on my show so that other people can take from what you know. Because I don't want everybody it just to be my perspective. I don't. I want it to be the people's perspective. This platform is where people can come, people can talk. I don't agree with everything she says. She doesn't agree with everything I said. But being respectful and saying, it's okay. I'm seeing a lot more people moving independent, and I really am. And I think when I look at how my views are, I'm really I'm Democrat, but really switching to kind of independent. I'm really independent, but I vote Democratic. So, and I'm looking at things, and I look at what has the Democratic Party done. They're not aggressive enough, and they're not progressive enough. And I need to see this. How do we change that? So, for me, I want to hear your perspectives. We're not going to all agree on everything, but I can take maybe a piece of what you're saying, and maybe you can take a piece of what I'm saying, and we can keep it, we can keep it moving. Because at the end of the day, I am a Black woman. Before I open up my mouth and say anything, they're going to judge me. I'm a Black woman. And if I start talking, they're going to judge me on if I can articulate my comments to them. They judge you on everything. And that's just the way it is. You gonna be a Black person when you Black. If you present yourself before a majority white, you Black. And that's just, and then I've had questions. Well, how did you as a Black woman know to do that? How did you okay? And I may feel my race, I feel should have anything to do with it. My race and my gender being one, you got two things going. If you're Black and then you're a female Black. Where is it going to be for our Black male with this diversity, equity, and inclusion? I believe in inclusiveness. Where is it going to be there? All that's being rolled back. Watch where that priest or bishop was on there, and the way that they were shrieking and like what, and literally JD Vance's wife. You got to look at her face. Her face was stoic. It was stoic. So. Anyways, we have covered a lot here today. And what I do is appreciate people calling in to share your opinions. We don't have to agree, but what we have done today is be respectful. And that's the part that I appreciate. So in order for us to, we got to tip the and pay for Producer Jay. So if you can donate to $ Cash App, Producer J87. Merck 76 said the Democratic Party needs to be searching right now for a new president. Merck, you are correct. You are correct. So you are correct, because we wait to the last minute. They put Kamala Harris out there, Vice President Kamala Harris, at the last minute. I didn't think that was a good move. She needed more time, more ground to cover. You know, we have not had a female president, and we have not had a female Black president. So she was going to be knocking down two birds, you know, with one. So she was really going to be making some history, you know. So listen, be excellent conversation today. Thank you, B. Marie. Appreciate you. Watch the 13th Amendment. Watch some of these documentaries. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. You know, this is a platform. I want you to call in so we can talk about it. You know, talk about it, learn about it. I have shared my favorite documentary, I don't know why, was Lawrence Fishburne doing Thurgood Marshall, because I love me some Thurgood Marshall. And he was an attorney and our first Supreme Court Supreme Court Justice, first Black one. And so what I appreciate is having different opinions. But I want y'all that one, when I let me get back to Thurgood Marshall by Lawrence Fishburne. It's good. He tells about his life. He tells about his father's life. You know, he tells about how his father was a pullman, a porter on the trains. He talked about what he did and where he worked. And he said, depending on how much they paid him, he would let them call him the N-word. You know, hey, Ian, get me another drink. Hey, Ian, he'd be, yes, sir. He was in college. This was a time that we have to understand that, you know, I'm not going to let somebody take me back to. And so for me, it is important. And then to talk about these topics, y'all keep watching what he's doing, because we are on a roller coaster ride for the next for the next 4 years. And he's trying to get a third term. So JP says, I think the Democratic need to find its, absolutely. They need to get it together. They need to get it together. So I appreciate each and every one of you that have come on. And if you can donate, and Maz, I guess we may have, you know, the trolls. Take care of the trolls. Hopefully some of them learned something today. The Brian Banks story. Look, let me write that down. I don't know where it can be seen at, but I'm gonna have to look. What did I do before Google? Y'all, I went to the public library. And so I'm going to look up the Brian Banks story. I need some good watching and viewing. But what I do appreciate is each and every one of you. So if you can donate to $ Cash App, Producer J87, greatly. And for those who donated and donated and said, thank you. We appreciate it, because it allows us to come together. What we do know is that whether you like the Black church or not, the Black church came together to keep the community together, to work on important issues, in our community. So the Black church was doing it. The Black church, now people watch church online. I'm guilty of that. I always make it to the church house. You know, the Black church made sure they informed us. And what they didn't want us to do is come together to have conversations like this, to change our community, to look at things, to band together. We, in my opinion, for me, let me make this clear on the Tanya Burns Show, we have got to work together with the LGBTQ community, because some of them not only Black, they're part of the LGBTQ community, and come together to deal with this system that is already oppressing us and been oppressing us. So, oh yeah, because some of the Black church, we know, I didn't say all, but the Black church was instrumental. We can't take that away in the civil rights movement. We can't take that away. Wasn't nobody else out there leading that cause. You know, the Black church was instrumental. The church now, we're fragmented. They call them prosperity churches. Can we get the black church to come back in to help? People, that's a big question. People tell us, oh, they want private jets, Bentleys, they want $1 million mansions. The churches they feel not doing the same thing. I shared the story about my uncle Ollie Pounds. And I always say, I want my pastor to drive a Sabre. You doing God works, and I want to show you how good God gonna make you live. Yeah, but when the people giving you they last and they tithes and offering, and you driving a Bentley, living $1 million house, got a maid, got a nanny, you got a private jet, and you got people literally tithing and giving they last to you, for your prosperity. And they telling you how great you gonna live because they see you living like that. I have a problem with that. We get too far to where we aren't connected to the people. People will put themselves on the level, and the only thing you are good for is a donation, giving back to them. And that's not what it is. We got people running for, don't even live here, for that, on that third ward ballot, living on DuPont Street. We got to stop that. We go after people. People got problems with my show, but we got to stick together, to change it. So listen, if you could donate, Cash App, $, Producer J. Look, watch the 13th Amendment. I'm going to look up the Brian Banks story. Look up the Pullman Porters. These are some great ones. A list of movies and Netflix and documentaries that we need to know about. If you don't know your history, you're going to be doomed to repeat it. And we don't know it. A lot of us don't. We don't talk. When we talked about the crime bill, now I done had a couple times, and I'm gonna call you out, Snowman. We on a different level. You and I have never sat down and really talked because we have a lot more in common than you think that we don't. And that's just the fact. Like we talk about the crime bill, them calling them super predators is what they were. Locking them up. The difference between cocaine and crack. Cocaine, if you were doing cocaine, you went into a treatment facility. You did crack, you went to prison for a long time. 3 strikes, you out. They broke our families, and then they expect us to put them back up. They said, well, pull up your boots, pull up your bootstraps. How you gonna pull up your bootstraps when you don't have no boots? How you gonna do that? I had a meeting in my ward this Wednesday. I was not at the council meeting because I've had drive-by shootings. Learned about a family. And so one of the issues is these kids are at the bus stop. Guess who'll be at the bus stop with the kids, trying to develop a rapport with them? Your girl, me. Because I don't believe in throwing our kids away. Most often what we do at 12, 15, 18, once we get 40, 50, and 60, you're not doing it. And I have heard so many men, and especially Black men, say, I did not know, not they have grandchildren, I did not know the impact it had on them, that now I got to fix what I broke in my community. I hear that. I hear so many times. I now have to fix what I broke in my community because I didn't know better. Nobody talked to me about it. And so we have to have safe forums to where we can talk about it. We ain't gonna always agree though. How do we fix it? So these kids, and I think it's like 7 or 8 of them, the kid has come from 2 different homes, and making sure that that the aunt is raised them. As soon as she gone, these kids out shooting at people, breaking in people's house, breaking in their cars. Okay, well, I like to put these kids to work. We went green in the 6th ward, where I took my ward money and used it towards buying electric lawnmowers and lawn equipment, to where they will be able to cut grass. And I called Chad. I said, Chad, I think we need to revisit that. We need to get some shovels and some snow blowers. Put money in these kids' pockets the legal way, and show them that you can trust. I got kids around. I'm connected to so many kids. Y'all don't even understand. Kids around the corner. They got 11 kids. And the uncle's like, I don't know. He got some of them, not even all his, that live in this one house. Dealing with those kids, connecting them with the PAL program. I'm going to do all I can to get the resources to the people in my community, not just my ward. If you call me and I know of something, I didn't know really when I put up the showing the PAL cooking program, that got over 400 or 500 shares. I didn't realize people or young people wanted to learn how to cook. I didn't know that until I put it up and how much that was shared. I didn't know that. So kids want to cook. You know, we had home economics. We learned how to cook in middle school and in high school. You had to learn how to sew, cook, wash clothes. Yeah, the economics room had washer, dryer, stoves, iron, sewing. You had to know how to do these things. And so these are things that are now kids don't know how to do. But we have got to start saying we have more alike than we have and disalike. And how do we come together? You cannot change and have a movement unless you come together. It wasn't just the Black folks who did the March on Washington. You better go back and look at your history and who funded that. Watch the Byron Rustin story. You look at when they boycotted for the Montgomery bus boycott, that you had some of the housewives, they wanted to make sure that their housekeepers got to and from work, you know, and then you had the pastors in the church, you know, it came, they boycotted for over a year and changed that system. You can't change it until you get involved. Get involved or get left behind. Somebody put it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Gracie Manuel on the corner of the pier and Ava is having a special prayer for children, teenagers. So bring your young adults. I can't see that, y'all. Bring in your young adults. So bring your what time are they having the prayer? Tomorrow at 10 a.m. So it's right before church. So tomorrow at 10 a.m. Gracie Manuel on the corner of Lippincott and Averill. It's right across from the old IMA, now the Dorp Federal Center, kitty corner to Max, across from Maxie Meat. Maxie Meat and kitty corner from Scott School is having a prayer for our teens and our youth. See, these are things. Look, Patricia, when y'all got things that you need people at, send them to me so I can share them out ahead of time so we can get people out ahead of time. Send them to me so we can get them out. You know, if you want to sit down and have a conversation with me, a round table, I am actually going to be doing a round table, inviting people so we can hear different views, because we got some changes. You know, we got to put in the work. These kids out here, they real gangsters. You know, used to be the gangsters was what they considered to be the mob, and they didn't mess with the houses and but people. These kids, some of these kids are some gangsters. We had over 11 children shot last year in the city of Flint, and some of them were fatal. Some of them, unfortunately, lost their lives. So we're going to end this last part to each and every one of you. I appreciate you. If you can donate to $Cash Up, producer J87, I would appreciate it. You know, watch those movies, and if it's anything that you want to put in the comment, listen, once this goes off, put it in the comments if you got a good movie or you got a good documentary or something that you want to share. If you come being on here negative Nancy or a troll, not having it, my energy is not for that. If you don't like the views of the Tanya Burns show, don't watch it. Okay? We don't always have to agree, and I have with some of the people on here. But what we're going to do is work through it. You have a right to your opinion, but you do not have a right to be disrespectful and to lie and to talk crazy to people. You do not have that right. So go back into the comments, because these comments disappear after the show. Put them on afterwards, something that you want to talk about, something that we can do. And I'm going to tell you, each and every person does not live in the city of Flint. You live in another city, state, North Carolina, South Carolina, California, Chicago. If you live in Georgia, wherever you, Ohio, Oklahoma, wherever you are at, I thank you and thank you for tuning in. And to my producer, you that man, you that guy, I couldn't do any of this without you. And to my moderators, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for giving y'all time. Y'all, we done did 4 darn hours. Four. Producer Jay.
What's up?
I appreciate you. You know I was gonna try to do 2 hours on.
Hold on. 1 second. Because you just did that, so I got to get you because you opened the door for me. Got to find it first, though. Oh, here it goes.
Yeah, I know he ain't right. He trying to do something funny.
Detector test determined that was a lie. Detector test determined that was a lie.
Look, we did not do 2 hours. We did not do 2 hours. I hope y'all appreciated having Attorney Johnson on. Attorney Johnson is a great attorney and also my friend. So as I navigate through things, the legal system, and to make sure I stay on track, I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. And so when I make mistakes, I ask God for forgiveness. I work hard for my community. I'm not going to stop working hard for my community because I love my community. I got more years behind me than I do ahead of me. And I want to make sure I'm doing good work. And Producer Jay, I could not do any of this without you. And for the moderators inside of the chat, I appreciate you giving me your time. And I hope one day soon, we can all be in the same room so that we can enjoy each other in the festivities and difference of opinion. Producer Jay.
That was it.
Anyways, listen, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday afternoon. The views of this show have been the views of whomever, and we share them. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy y'all Saturday. And look, let's put the intro. Look, after the show go off, listen, the comments disappear. So I need y'all to put what you want to talk about or any comments inside of the comments once the show is off. Producer Jay, I'm going to tell you this from a Black woman to a Black man, because we got to tell people we love them. I love you, my brother, my friend. And ain't nothing you can do about it. So let's play that exit music. And my mods, love y'all too.
It's the Tanya Burns Show. Tune in right now. Like and share, our city needs that vow. Flint City News got truth to share. When we fight the darkness, we repair. Won't give up, we're standing tall and proud. Voices rising strong, no longer shrouded. Residents deserve what's right and fair. Together we can lift the despair. We fight, we win, we break the chains. Tanya Burns won't stand out in the rain. Our city dreams will make them true. With